What's up, people? We're live. We're live on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and brand new tube. And I want to just double check to make sure this this brand new tube stream is going. I also wanted to take this opportunity to start using entropy, which is a way that people can chat and do super chats while being demonetized. I'm gonna put the link to the chat in the description box, and don't worry, folks. George Webb will be with us very shortly. I sent him the link, and there's Dave Underdown in the background. Kevin Timmer's in the building.
What's up, Kevin?
So this link right here that I'm putting in is the Entropy live chat. So if people want to use Entropy to chat free of censorship and use, words, phrases, or topics that you otherwise would not be okay with using, go over to Entropy and you can do that. I will also put the brand new tube stream. Okay, so we are working on brand new tube. And this is where we want to go, people, because my channel will probably be axed at some point. That's what we're kind of assuming here. So let me just put the brand new tube link into the chat as well. And we can let people join up as we go live here. A couple more people joining. So I just wanted to start that. There's Prophet joining as usual, and I sent you the link, George, if you want to get your gimbal going.
Okay. I think George should just sit on the couch.
I'll sit
As your, I think you should go David Letterman
panel.
Style. You be David Letterman and George.
Yeah.
George is your.
We doing that here? Okay. I like it.
Let Dave come in. I can go for the high top.
Here, all right. I'll come in
I'll be
secondary
on the background.
I'll be the secondary guest.
Yeah. So let me scoot over here, guys.
You might be the next Jay Leno. Do you know Jay Leno? Is that before your time?
I know who that is. I don't like Jay Leno just because of how he treated Conan O'Brien with the whole late night debacle. Anyway. But let us know how the audio is here, people. So I added the Entropy chat and the brand new tube link as well. Can you guys hear Aaron and George? Okay, let us know because we only have the one mic. But I sent George the link so we can do two videos. And it actually might be better, George, if we use your audio because your audio, your mic is going to be better than my earphone mic.
You want that big mic? Could we plug that right in?
Let's just do George's mic just because we're already live here. But we could set that up another time.
What does everybody think about everything that's been going on?
Let me just on the stream.
Oh, I'm in the show. Hold on. The photon torpedo just hit the ship. Okay, here we go. How about that? Right there. You're right in there with Aaron Adler.
While we're getting our bearings here, and we're gonna do a Star Trek metaphor to get us started because you with the photon torpedoes.
Sure.
I didn't know you were a Star Trek fan.
I'm not really,
yeah.
But I mean, I'm old school with Captain Kirk. The original Captain Kirk with William Shatner. So
you're not a Next Generation guy and all that jazz.
No.
What was his? I feel like he was the lead spokesman for some early tech company too. I feel like they had him on the ads for something.
I want to say it was a hotel chain.
Yeah, it was.
I want to
Priceline.
Priceline.com. That's
And
right.
everyone would always kind of imitate him. They would go, Spot, come in now. And
pretty good.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that. I feel like there's a lot of that Captain Kirk
imitations.
Yeah.
But they would go,
They told us so much on this show now that I look back.
somewhere out there. So anyway, sorry.
Well,
That's
the one I like to think of that I've always thought that I put in your chat before, long ago when you used to have a channel, the Romulans. You remember the Romulans?
Oh yeah, I think
You
there was
remember
some,
What did the Romulans have? Right? What was the special thing that the Romulans had?
Cloaking device.
The cloaking device, right? They had the ship. Do you know the cloak? You remember those?
Yeah, I remember the cloak.
The ship that
was shadow stealth. Yeah.
you couldn't see the ship, right? But what was their one thing with the ship with the cloaking device?
The photon torpedo. No.
They had to uncloak to fire.
Oh.
They
Give away
couldn't.
your position.
That was the whole thing. They were cloaked, but they couldn't fire their missiles or their photons, or not missiles then, I guess, right? The photons. They
Right.
couldn't fire their photon torpedoes without uncloaking, and so that was the 1 minute that you had right there was the uncloak. Good, we got them right there. They're uncloaking. Get them right now, And so I just like that metaphor as we proceed into the real world today. That they do have to uncloak to fire. They definitely still have to uncloak to fire, whoever they are,
So moving back to the real world a bit here, guys.
Sorry.
We are live here on brand new YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and Facebook. And I just wanted to thank everybody for joining here tonight. This is kind of trippy with the double camera action we got here. I had to take my earphones out because I was getting an echo and it was confusing me a bit. But we just wanted to set up kind of a longer stream here, just talking about how we got axed here. Basically, due to this man right here, George Webb, just getting banned on BitChute and now YouTube, and this huge purge that's been going on over the past couple days on YouTube. And I want to encourage people to get over to brand new tube. I put the link in the comment box. Also, another thing, people, I'm going to say it again, Entropy. You can use this website, Entropy, to do censorship-free chats and super chats. Even though my channel is demonetized, you can still do donations on Entropy. And if somebody wants to test out the super chat function on brand new tube, that as well would be very welcome too. But brand new tube Neighborhood News Hour is a channel we're setting up as well. But for now, we're just using my channel. Bandwidth says we need a third camera in front of the couch. So that might be a good idea there. But we got Kevin Timmer checking in, Oli Svensson, and Ellen.
If you super chat Addy,
We'll get a
I
third camera.
will buy you a drink of equal or greater value when you come visit the neighborhood newsroom. So it's just a down payment. Your super chat is just a down payment. Now you do have to show me ID. I guess I should make that disclaimer, that
Matt,
and I didn't even say what kind of drink it is. So excuse me, a ginger beer. I'll buy you a ginger beer.
Yeah, so we're late night with George Webb Uncensored. George hasn't said anything yet, though. So.
Well, I want to riff off this thing with the Star Wars or Star Trek because I spent 3 nights just recently with this Wes, who was kind of taken Addy under his wing, but he was this guy, German speaker, who listened in on a lot of these German intelligence agents as they were making plans to leave Berlin to come to the United States to get into NASA and our various defense industries, like here in Dayton with the Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. And one of the, again, this is all kind of paperclip Nazi rumors. Paperclip's the name of the operation to bring all these Nazi guys from Werner von Braun's kind of space program into the United States. They brought some into Cape Canaveral, Florida, and they called it Neu Peenemünde, which is the place where the V2 rocket program was. So they actually call it New Peenemünde, the Cape Canaveral. But the other one was Gene Roddenberry. Gene Roddenberry was supposedly this guy who was heavily influenced by these paperclip Nazis. He was going to write all these stories about technology that
He was in law enforcement.
Yeah. And he was heavily influenced by these group out at JPL.
89 combat missions for the Air Force.
Yeah, he was big in the Air Force. I think he's a test pilot as well. But anyway, he got in with these guys out at Laurel Canyon and the super creatives, and the Laurel Canyon, the Hollywood plant for the Nazis from JPL in Pasadena was in Laurel Canyon. Anyway, they started saying, hey, write episodes of all the stuff that we haven't actually realized yet. And so like the cloaking device was the stealth fighter. They had the F-111.
Think of the episode The Trouble with Tribbles. it dealt with two things. One was the overpopulation issue. You had these tribbles that the more they ate, the more they reproduced. But then there was the quadrotriticale, which was a genetically modified wheat. And no matter how much of it they ate, there was no nutritional value in the wheat. And they died of starvation in the storage bins.
And then they
GM
called it Monsanto. They called it Monsanto.
Quadrotriticale, and it was old Earth in Canada. This is the only crop that will grow on this planet. So we're going to take it out there. But if they got it there, they'd have put it on the planet and killed everybody on the planet with this. Supposedly there was something with it. But think about that. They were telling us about this is in 1966, 67 about wheat that could be grown that had no nutritional value in it.
Yeah, enter our good friends at Monsanto.
I think
a
we
little-
could just all sit here and watch Star Wars and do Mystery Science Theater style on
or
Star
Star
Wars,
Trek.
and we'd
I
have
think,
a fun time,
those are
you know?
two that you
Or
should.
Star Trek. That's right, Star Trek.
Yeah.
I'm more of the Star Wars guy. I know a bit of Star Trek. I saw the new Star Treks only.
Remastered the old
So,
ones,
you know,
can't even watch it.
Some of the older folks are gonna get mad at me because of that. Kevin says this. We're the Battelle brainstorming group.
Yeah,
So-
well, he was talking about Roddenberry, and apparently, Joni Mitchell. Remember her? She was a singer before you were born, but she was out there, and they were having all these wild parties, and they were doing peyote button and all this.
Pave Paradise.
And
Put up
be
a
sure to
parking lot.
share
That's,
this.
that's not your strong
that-
suit.
is that-
That's not your strong
I'm
suit.
trying to do my Joni Mitchell voice.
Can I do it? If
Oh,
you're
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
you're gonna do it that bad. Say paradise and put up a parking lot. Bop 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 bop. That was how. Yeah. So anyway, that Joni Mitchell, and she was the hostess with the mostest. This supposedly MK Ultra Nazi kid that was just inviting everybody, James Taylor and the whole gang up there, and they were in these Hollywood Hills, and finally they ended up. I don't know if this is true. Put up the Hollywood sign so they could find their way home. Literally, they'd be so stoned that they couldn't. But these are rumors. But Roddenberry was supposed to be in this super creative group, this writers group, and I Dream of Jeannie, which was about Cape Canaveral, and Roger Healy and all these guys, was a Roddenberry spinoff apparently. And they were like, well, what if we could time travel and we could bring back a babe, And then, okay, well, let's write that one up,
His
and then
best one, and it never got off the ground. After Star Trek, the original, went off the air, he put a pilot on. There was a couple episodes of it for a show called Genesis 2, which
Genesis 2. That was like a
Alex
little
Cord was the star.
eco.
Well, I can remember there were things like you were able to. They had like the underground tube, that you were able to go from New York to Los Angeles in 10 minutes because you were in this decompression.
Right. It worked off the Earth's rotation and everything. So this is kind of like Mystery Science Theater here, Addy. You've got a group out of control.
Yeah, well, this is late night here at the Neighborhood News Hour studios. We like to have fun around here. We got the NATO police dog that Aaron scooped up yesterday.
The Taycom Robo Dog.
I added the U.S. flag just to offset
Israel. Show the Israel flag.
Well, we had to offset the globalist agenda there with those other two flags. But,
this could become.
Whenever we are violating, guidelines or rules or things that could get us, just in trouble, the dog will come in to stop us, and the dog will come in to control our speech and control our,
The whole deal.
just our whole.
Does it have that power in all Five Eyes nations? Or is it just in?
Have you seen these little robots that are running around? I was in Westwood a couple of days ago, and little robots, bigger
That's
than
how they
this.
can defund the police because that's going to be
Yeah.
replacements.
It's this Robo,
Nipping your ankles.
the Robo thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
Sorry, I'm going to give the control back to the host here.
Oh no, I was just gonna say they're testing those out in England at parks and stuff. They have robo, I guess, dogs. They're
New
for limbed robots that basically just walk around and
I could
they're
flip
gonna
the
be-
on switch. I don't know how good that would be on YouTube though.
There's a lot of talk about
Get
getting
him going
AI.
around and
I do want to
screeching.
say
Oh, live call in. Live call in.
we got the call-in number if
Oh yeah,
anybody
we
wants
have
to
the
ask.
phone right here. So if
Yeah.
everybody wants
Hey,
to,
hey, stump the panel here with either Star Trek or Star Wars trivia, maybe. I don't know. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's totally fine. We're an open.
This
kind
is
of an
hijack
open,
the show from the host.
Yeah, this is an
Who
AMA
remembers
live
watching
stream.
Forbidden Planet?
Very
Oh, that
open.
old
So
movie?
we do have the call-in number
Let me get back.
734-7090. If people want to call and ask George a question or make a comment to the
whole
group,
panel. The whole
yeah,
panel.
please feel free to do that. Also, please share the stream because people have been like calling us and texting us like how do we get you guys' content because they're having trouble finding George Webb on the internet, which is purposeful. So if you guys could share the stream as well, otherwise feel free to do some call-ins.
I think Mark had something here about Hidden Planet. I want to go to him, and then I want to throw in Hidden Planet of the Apes for trivia. You know, that should be fun. Go ahead, Mark.
There was a movie back in the mid '50s, Forbidden Planet. Remember, it had Robbie the Robot in it, Leslie Nielsen. Remember the Krell?
The Krell. The scary Krell. Yeah.
It was like monsters from the id. It was like so the
Scary Krell.
we realized
It was-
that they had created.
It would grow on you. Yeah.
They created artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the Krell destroyed themselves, and then Walter Pigeon starts trying to, investigate the Krell, which is nothing but this big, huge computer that's taken over this planet, and it's manifesting like the monsters from his brain and stuff.
This is YouTube.
you know,
This is YouTube.
Uh, But Monsters from the Id, Forbidden Planet, it's like they were telling us then, 1956.
Yeah, and all these Nazi dreams, ended up in science fiction. So we'll give it back to the host here. If we get a little seasick, that's just because I'm doing 360 panoramas.
What is Morgellons?
Morgellons, is that a comment you see?
Morgellons
Yeah.
is a type of bacteria. Morgellons,
Mm.
and I can't remember if it's the bacteria that feeds anthrax or
Remember
not.
Morgus on Channel 2?
Who?
Morgus in the
No.
water.
It's more comments here, people checking in. But I just wanted to ask you, George, about what your thoughts are over the last day or two with everything that's been going on. If nobody caught it earlier today, George Webb filed a class action lawsuit against Google, YouTube, and we're doing it on behalf of journalists everywhere. And I got the plaintiff number 1, number 2 right here, Dave Underdown. But there we go. We did it earlier on our earlier stream today. Plaintiff 1 is me, and then plaintiff 2 there,
join the class.
Detroit Dave.
Join the class. You're the class of the class. Well, we talked a little bit about this earlier, and I think you're on a riff here with your show, with all this science fiction trivia that's just so way cooler. So, but if people want to ask, about it, that's great. But right now, I'm
I've got one. Andy,
Yeah.
Andy said that a lot of some of the feedback in the chat rooms is that I'm quite robotic. So I was curious, like, what robot I'm most like. I was hoping that it was either C-3PO or R2-D2, two of my favorite robots.
You reminded me always
from
of Data, and I didn't watch that one. The one with LeVar Burton with the little eye thing, and because David is the human computer.
I
But
liked R2-D2 though. Couldn't talk that well, but cute, right?
yeah,
Save
and
the
also,
day. But also
it's
came
180
in handy,
languages.
like would kind of spin the dial and get
C-3PO. I think you're more of a C-3PO because you're more of a database.
He's so anal though. That's the only problem is I feel like
right.
socially is like doesn't fit in.
Right,
as well.
right. I think, but you're taller than. Anyway, Addy, grab hold of control.
Well, there's Bobito checking in. He's one of my loyal subs. Says, thank God somebody is standing up against YouTube, Google, and Twitter. So you got to thank Bobito for chipping in there. And I want to also give a thank you to Caroline. I know I already said a thank you on our earlier stream, but if Caroline's listening, a big thank you for that donation
Sweet
earlier
Caroline.
today. And Red Pill 78 and others filed lawsuit against YouTube and Google. Oh wow, I didn't know that. I guess we heard about Amazing Polly on the West Coast too. Did something similar, but George was saying that when you do these things, it's best to do them as a group, right, George? Rather than having velociraptors coming at them, you want to go as like a T-Rex, right? All together.
Well,
go
what
ahead,
happens in a class if you have like a neighbor to the north, like somebody, a Five Eye partner, person?
Well, what happens sometimes is the judges will all get together and agree to combine the lawsuits, and so they don't want to hear the arguments and evidence 5-6 times, and they don't want to overturn each other. They don't want to, one person rules in favor and one rules against. They want to combine all these things. So it may be that we're all headed down the same road, which is great. Red Pill 78, great. Amazing Polly, great. Us, great. That's all good. We have a lot of firepower, but whoever, it's an open process right now, and whoever gets to be the lead case sort of is the lead in terms of organizing all the lawyers and stuff like that. But really, what we're trying to do is just check YouTube, just clip their wings a little bit, because they're acting like dictators, and they're private companies. They're acting like dictators.
Do you think it comes from the top, or do you think it's a rogue group of employees, maybe, or a department inside the company? Maybe. I mean, we all kind of assume it's coming from the top, right? From Wojo there, but
No.
It's not Wojo.
No.
It's coming
No.
above
It
Wojo.
can't be based on the.
Isn't that her name?
That's her name.
Okay.
But it can't be based on the amount of views and subscribers, because we just don't really have that many. So it's clearly somebody's reviewing the material and deciding, making some kind of a decision that's not.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
without explanation.
People who followed the series know that Eric Braverman became the head of the Google Foundation and Eric Schmidt's thing. And there was 5 different foundations. They were going to break up the Clinton Foundation into these 5 foundations. And Clinton Foundation is basically a money laundry for all these covert actions. And so instead of going through the Clinton Foundation now, because their thing went to zero, they're now running it through Eric and the 5 different Google foundations. So all this is just kind of window dressing on the fact that Eric is the guy who runs it. Amy Rayo is the person who's the head of the DNC in California. She's taking all these super millionaires that are bundlers for front people for mining and oil all over the world, and they're putting it in through the California DNC, which then is laundered through the national DNC, and that's the name of that tune. We're done. And I work for Eric. I was one of 200 guys working for Eric at Sun. He's a good guy. Oh, we got a caller. Here we go. Addy Ads.
Neighborhood News Hour.
So we are live here.
That was
Now,
88.
SGT is also doing a lawsuit.
Addy Ad show
Did you
right
see
now?
that?
Late night with George Webb Uncensored. We are live on YouTube, brand new.
Yeah, it's David.
Twitter,
I'm kind of the call
Periscope. Get a live call in show
So-
people. Let me put the number up on the screen if people want to call in.
Well, Dave is screening calls.
Eddie's
Yeah, here we go. 734-224-7090. Tomorrow night, Bobby Linsky will be on Tucker Carlson. Will Tucker have the live chat going? Asks Ari. Should we do a reaction video, or what are you expecting from Tucker Carlson tomorrow night, George? Do you have high hopes for something, or is it going to be another school play?
I'll answer that after this call.
Okay, so we have a call. Oh, we have a caller, and he's sadly been watching the Hunter videos today, and the reports are not good. I've not personally watched any of them, but let's hear your reaction to the Hunter Biden.
Go ahead, caller.
Hello? Yeah, hello.
Yep, go ahead.
Hey, how you doing? All right, well, this is Bandwidth 88, and I was watching GTV today for the first time, and by the way, if you're looking on how to find it, it's capital G space, capital T, capital V. It's the first thing that shows up on Google. But GTV, a lot of it appears like it's in Chinese, and then there's a couple of English headlines under certain videos. But if you scroll down like halfway through this page, there's a 2-hour piece in there that is a full-on violent, exceptionally violent towards women, very uncomfortable to watch. That's just not an image that a young person should have to see, because that's something that they're going to remember. And, you know, so we have to be careful about how we show these images and who we show them to. Hunter was, or is, an extremely sick individual who, according to a news text that I just received from Bannon's War Room, he relapsed a month ago for a month and went somewhere and apparently smoking crack for a month. So, you know, this disease that a lot of people have, called addiction and alcoholism, is a real, I want to use a word that I won't use, but it's a real problem. And I've worked with alcoholics and addicts in my lifetime, having been one myself, and I can tell you that the only people that ever seem to get help are the people who are willing. And that's why it seems like 95% of the people that they put through these programs go right back out and do it all over again, because they made no conscious decision whatsoever to be willing to help themselves. And I ran into that over and over and over again for 20 plus years. I was intervened on by a man by the name of Bobby Timmons in 1987, who intervened on Aerosmith and Motley Crue, all those guys. And I learned a lot from Bobby, and I'm grateful for that. Bobby Timmons was an amazing human being that worked out of the Main Street Law Office, which was Michael Massateer, who, by the way, for those of you that don't recognize his name, he's an ex-U.S. attorney. But anyways, so that was back in 1987. And through the course of my lifetime, I have had the unfortunate experience of having to witness some very violent things and some very uncomfortable things. And what I saw on those videos today brought back a lot of those memories and a lot of the things that I thought I had forgotten forever. But I don't think we really forget forever about anything. But it was highly disturbing to watch. Very, very... it changed the way I felt inside physically, because I got a knot in my stomach and I had to, after watching it, get up and walk for about 15 minutes. It was that bad.
Yeah. All right.
Anybody else that would have that type of material on his laptop, and then have it go through all the different excuses and places and the people that had access to copying the drive and whatever. But the point is, it got out, and what buried him was a copy of that receipt that, you know, it was him that brought it in there. It has his name on the invoice besides his signature. And as somebody who fought addiction for a very long, life-threatening battle, I can tell you that there's a part of my heart that still goes out to the guy, because somebody somewhere along the line had to fuck him up really good. No, sorry for my French. They had to really mess him up really, really bad. And when that happens to people, as I've shared to some people in the group a little bit about my past, but I have 2 court cases going on right now where they are going after people that sexually molested me in the 7th and 8th grade. And when I was 10, the most brutal experience happened, and that happened out of the Hollywood Indoor Tennis Club on the corner of Downer and Fountain. I was taken somewhere else from the club, and the last thing I remember is sitting at a restaurant drinking something, and the next thing I remember is waking up in a motel room with the naked men, strangers around me, telling me all these things that was just, I can't even begin to tell you what people go through when they go through this. But to sum this up in a way that think that most people will understand, and that is Hunter Biden has a chance of getting healthy in his head and physically with therapy and with a lot of supervision, making sure for at least a couple years that he gets it together. And if he can get over that hurdle, he has a chance. And normally what happens with people when they go through their first couple of years of recovery is they have to go through this thing called the 12 steps in the Alcoholic Anonymous book. And part of that is making amends for for everything that you did leading up to the alcoholism and all the damage and the wreckage that left in the process. And I think I'm praying, I am seriously praying that Hunter lives to hit those rooms so that he can come clean with what he did, and the rest of us can learn about it. And at that point, I think Hunter as a human being will be capable of some form of remorse and a willingness to get 100% help.
I'd like to
And
see.
All right.
point out is that people who are sexually abused, raped as children, one of two things happens. They either go after other people because that has happened to them, or in my case, I turned on myself in a lot of ways, and I held it all internally, hoping that I would have a time and a place where I could make those things right.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you very much. I appreciate your, of course, I've met Matt and everybody here has. So
I
go ahead.
think, we do hope Hunter gets the help he needs, and we pray for Hunter. He's in our prayers. We don't wish anything at all on Hunter other than, growth and development and the best he can be, the best Hunter he can be. I do think, though, that Joe Biden's path to the presidency or the nomination was cleared based on the compromisability of him. And if I, for one, don't think that this content and this material was a surprise.
No.
I think that whoever was determined to have Joe Biden be the nominee of the Democrat Party for president here in 2020 was certain that, they had this, and they made
had the
sure
goods.
they had the goods, and it was like, let's get Joe up here to the finish line, and maybe we'll use the goods, maybe we won't use the goods. The fact that they're using the goods right now
Says they're going to replace him.
Yeah, or it's also, dude. Are we reversed here? Is Trump? Is Trump art of the dealing these people somehow in a way that is beyond what we've anticipated?
Like Hunter is like, so how was he fit to have these positions and making all this money? He's just a crackhead. And he's making decisions, energy decisions and stuff. He was over his head all the way around.
And the whole impeachment trial was based on, Trump using Hunter's, problems, basically saying that, like you said, not qualified to have these, high level positions, dealing with Burisma, obviously a company that's dealing with the Ukrainian, gas industry. And that was basically the criticism of Adam Schiff, was that here's Trump going after a guy's son, with these personal problems. So this isn't the first time that Hunter's been the lead story. They're bringing it back, within 2 weeks of the election. So, it's tough because nobody wants to gang up on somebody that has, addiction problems. And I feel like everybody can relate to, knowing somebody or personally having issues like that. And, nobody wants to, beat up on somebody that's in a bad cycle. But at the same time, this isn't the first time that this has been used, obviously with more information, but the history with Rosemont Seneca and those business dealings, those are on the tape. We have to look at those.
I want to throw in, I feel bad for Hunter only because I see him as a patsy. I see him as a Lee Harvey Oswald type of guy, because here you have Warren Buffett. He's going to put his 10% or 9% through Rosneft into the economic corridor, into the Chinese Pakistan economic corridor. And we're going to go ahead and launder trillions through this, and it's going to be this nice investment club opportunity for Warren Buffett and all his intermediaries, Seth Rich and Patrick Byrne. But what are they going to do after they're done with getting all the money from Libya, Syria, Sudan, and the Iran deal? They're going to give the BlackBerry to Hunter. Bob Alinsky showed you Hunter's BlackBerry. He showed you that they threw it in his baby carriage at the end. It's like I went around and I robbed all these banks, and then I threw the revolver that I used into the baby carriage of Hunter. And now we're all blaming Hunter because he's a crackhead. And they were saying, well, there's the gun, in Hunter's bed. So, there's the BlackBerry in Hunter's bed. He must have done Libya, Syria, Sudan, and the Iran deal. And Hunter didn't. Hunter has trouble with lunch. Hunter didn't do Libya, Syria, Iran. He didn't. It was Hillary and the gang. Jonathan Weiner
part
and
of
Kerry.
what helped me know I was in the right place, George, when I found you on YouTube back in the day, and John and everything, was your affection for the Big Lebowski.
Yeah.
Which I was surprised by. And I wanted to ask our host here.
Hey, right there.
I wanted
Hunter,
to ask our
who's the
host
big
here.
guy, Hunter? Who's the big guy,
Addy,
Lebowski?
the Big Lebowski's a little ahead of your time. Like I was, 17, 18 when Lebowski came out. You know Lebowski?
Yeah.
You're a Lebowski. That's the kids today.
I
are
can't
still...
say I've seen it, Aaron. I'm sorry.
Ah,
Maybe
oh
it's
my
something
God.
we can bond over. I don't know.
Yes,
Because-
we can. We
Okay.
can. Yes,
Well, I'm
we-
surprised you too, George, because you're.
I've
seen it.
You get
I know
terrible-
you've seen it.
The more we talk about Hunter, the less we talk about Joe. And then it also gets to the point where they might play this to the point where the Joe starts getting sympathy because of the abuse that Hunter's taking.
Right. It's not about Hunter. It's about the Blackberries. It's about all these countries getting knocked over, and Warren Buffett.
You were looking for some dope to pin it on.
Yeah,
You just met me, right?
Yeah,
Remember that line from Lebowski
Yeah,
where
yeah.
it's like, because the Big Lebowski gives the actual Lebowski the briefcase,
Yeah.
And that's the whole foil of the whole plan. And then when the actual Lebowski figures it out, it's too late. And he's like,
Hey, wait
and
a
he's
minute.
like,
I'm the
well,
fancy here.
well, aren't you? And it's that's
I'm not
scene
the
here.
right
It's like-
Lebowski. I'm the dude, man.
But
I
that's-
got to go bowling. I don't want to be the
And
guy
that's
with the,
Hunter.
I don't want to be the guy with the bag. I don't want to be the guy with the with the suitcase full of money.
But it's too late.
It's too
They
late.
gave him the briefcase.
They gave
and
him the
he took it, and
briefcase.
he wasn't smart enough to figure it out. So there's Hunter for you anyway. We'll have to play the.
Or it was
that
a
movie.
laptop full of Bitcoin.
We're gonna watch the Big Lebowski, Aaron and I, but I definitely know the movie. Definitely have heard of it.
It's famous.
But the big Bobby Linsky now, he's gonna be on
Bobby Alinsky.
Tucker Carlson tomorrow night. Is that an important event to you, George, or is that something that is just
You're
here
not
that-
going to hear Bobby Alinsky go, well, you see, the reactors are getting smaller, and we could do all the mining and oil and the fracking with the smaller reactors now. And I love the fact that I'm a nuclear engineer. And Warren, the big guy Warren, he loved it, the whole plan. Every 300 miles we're going to do a modular reactor, and we just, the only thing we needed was a patsy. And God, this guy, we gave him a little bit of crack, and we filmed him with some prostitutes, and now we're going to hang it all on him. The American public's going to fall for it. We're going to do it 2 weeks before the election. Nobody is going to know about Libya, Syria, Sudan, and the Iran deal. I'm going to go on Tucker Carlson. I'm going to play the tapes between me and Hunter, and then play the tapes between me and James Biden, and play the tapes between me and Joe Biden. And this is why Deep Blackberry, the guy who meets with me, the 40-year Biden representative or advisor, I think this is why he gives me the BlackBerry, to say, we did just do this energy piece. We didn't do those war things. I think through this every day, but I think this is, like you say, it's a Big Lebowski. This is a Big Lebowski. Bob Ulinsky is a Big Lebowski. We're going to drop the bag on your doorstep, Lebowski, and it's all going to be your fault, Lebowski. Only this time it's named Hunter
Okay,
Biden.
so he's going on Tucker. So there's got to be some. There's got to be some play. There's got to be some plan in the play here.
They're going to play the tapes. They're going to play the
Or
phone calls.
it could be the VP's son hooking up with the president's daughter too.
No, they're going to play the
they're trying
tapes.
to
They're
throw
going to
that
play
in
the
mix,
phone
too.
calls. They're going to play the phone calls between James Biden and Joe Biden and Hunter Biden. Like it means anything. That means Those phone calls are from 2015 to 2017. That's all after Libya, Syria, and the Iran deal, and Ukraine. Throw Ukraine in there for these blackberries, right?
So are you saying that Tucker's going to fall for this whole
Oh
thing?
shit, yes.
Yeah. no
Tucker.
problem.
Tucker's not going to drill down on this.
Mhm.
Nobody cares about
So this is going to be the big wet kiss.
This is going to be the Big Lebowski. This really is going to be the Big Lebowski, and Tucker will fall for it, hook, line, and
We'll
sinker.
find out what kind of ice cream
We'll see.
he eats.
You know what's funny? Just we and our group of researchers at this moment in time are actually the biggest supporters and defenders of Joe Biden and his son of anybody out here in the world.
Yeah.
We really are. We really and truly are. What we have identified is that, you want to call them the CIA or whatever you want to call them, that like Joe and his son have
They
been
do this.
compromised by these groups,
Yeah.
and that these groups made sure that Joe was the candidate for president specifically because of his condition of compromise.
Right.
And man, like poor Joe, dude. Joe didn't want it. Joe just wanted to chill.
Go away.
Like,
You wanna
and
go
I
away.
mean, remember at the beginning when he was yelling at people, he's like, "Why am I doing this? Why am I doing this?" And it's like, because you're compromised, Joe. And other than Buttigieg, once Harry the Greek caught Buttigieg and exposed him, you were the only one left that they had, Joe. And we're trying to help you, buddy. But unfortunately, the CIA owns you so much that you don't even,
Wait, Harry, before we go to George, we have to go into unless you want to go.
No. I was just going to say.
I wanted to ask about Harry the Greek and
Buttigieg. Harry the Greek
at some point in this discussion.
Okay. Well, let me fill in the middle here. Biden is a guy that they own so badly that his wife was killed. They get one of these insane people out of a mental institution. They run him in to the car and then he killed two people, right? And then Bo got killed after he was stupid enough as the attorney general to put DuPont on the docket. That killed him. Now he's only got one son left, right? He's got a brother. He's got two brothers, right? Robert and James. But he's running out of family. And if they threaten you one more time, if Cofer Black threatens you one more time, what do? You kind of half step it. You say, okay, but I'll do it, but I want to be in my basement. I'm not going to go out and actually do any work for this. And look at him. As soon as he did two debates, what was it, an hour and a half each debate?
Mm-hmm.
Connie's saying, I will not defend Joe Biden. And it's like, yeah, but
that
I will not defend Joe Biden, the candidate. And the best way that I can now see to not defend Joe Biden, the candidate, is to defend Joe Biden, the man. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think it's also the idea of why is Hunter's laptop introduced at this time? Like what's behind it? Who sort of orchestrated this? I mean,
Bannon. Yeah.
Is it going to be the, tank Joe at the end and bring in somebody new, at the last minute, and this be sort of the idea for why we need to have a whole new candidate and just scrap everything? So again, it's like, we don't know the answer to those questions, but it's just the whole thing is just to me, it's just the Anthony Weiner laptop, the Hillary emails. It's literally just the second version of it.
Anthony Weiner laptop says it all. It's just it's such a redo of that. It's a complete
there's
redo.
Still been nothing. I mean, everyone, people talk about how they, heard from people that saw it, how terrible it was.
Phone calls coming in. We're here with Addy Eds.
Keep in mind, this could be a
Neighbor
troll.
news.
Don't reinvent the stream here just for a call.
Live
60% chance of
This
trolls.
is David.
Live with Addy Eds. We got Dave screening
Hey,
calls
Cass.
here with George Webb, Aaron Adler, Tom,
All right, let me get you on
CIA,
speakerphone
and
here
Mr.
real quick.
Buckley. And we have a caller on the line.
We have a caller. It is a neighborhood news favorite. It's ECAT.
Oh, ECAT in the hizzy. Okay.
In the hizzy.
All right.
I'm gonna hold that. You got them both.
I got him. Go ahead, ECAT.
Cool.
Hey, George.
Hey.
I am very, very, very distraught and distressed over this purge.
Okay. Oh, you mean the YouTube purge? Yeah.
I'm glad. Yeah, the YouTube purge. I'm glad you're filing a suit. But what I'm concerned about was just as I was wrapping, I've been following you for all this time, and I'm just starting to get my mind around it. And you posted that video yesterday of you guys on the river. And as soon as I'm starting to understand, they take it down. And then now McDuff is gone. And I contributed a lot in terms of comments and the live stream.
Yep.
And we worked all these things out together. And, you know, you mentioned earlier about how can we all get on board with your class action lawsuit. And also, there's so much intellectual property that we did, and how are we gonna get that back? I mean, I'm really upset about. I can't go back and watch you and McDuff from a year and a half ago, so that I'm putting pieces together from so long ago of history with the soft targeting, the day that McDuff pulled out that blue binder of the way that Japan soft targeted Korea. Where are we going to be able to recover that stuff?
Yeah. So, no, it's a good question. And I think that, ECAT, thank you for your call. Yes, it's all backed
She's
up.
still on there.
Yeah. And and I see Harry, Backrack saying destruction of evidence and so forth. We have it backed up, and we're going to continue telling the story in a end-to-end way. The Bob Ulinsky Blackberries was a big piece I was missing in the middle. I only knew of it as something that Buffett was doing with Seth Rich. I didn't know Patrick Byrne was the go-between. I didn't know it was a Russia-China energy deal. I didn't know it was the economic corridor, the $10 trillion deal. I had no idea. And Bob Ulinsky now confirmed CEFC, dude. It's the corridor deal. So I didn't realize it was this big. I didn't realize any of that, and I do realize now that here comes the it's kind of like with the Kennedy assassination. Ruth Payne made sure that she went out in the backyard and filmed Oswald with the Carcano with his paid receipt. I mean, how much more CIA do you get than that? They made sure that he was filmed out in front of the Louisiana Trade Mart, New Orleans Trade Mart, with the Fair Play for Cuba committee. These are like orgies of evidence, right? And so I think what we're doing is we're getting better at these CIA school plays, and we're calling it out. And even before it happens, even before Bob Ulinsky's on tomorrow, he's going to be watching this going, shit, this is going to be really hard. These guys are really messing up my narrative.
You think we're getting better at it, or you think they just are
I think we're
sucking that much more at writing the
No,
scripts?
I think we're really getting good at it. It seems like they're horrible at the scripts, but what we're doing is we're getting better at reading these fake school plays.
You think
and
I don't know.
everyone, if we get out there before they do it, they go,
Well, maybe
of
we're
course
gonna force
it's
Tucker to step up. To the
yeah. Tucker's gonna have to step up and say, well, what happened with these Blackberries before 2015? I could just hear Tucker in that high voice. Well, did the Blackberries just come out of the sky in 2015, or were they used before? Because I saw Hillary Clinton talking about Gaddafi with the same Blackberries. Hopefully, with the high voice and everything, Tucker will ask, well, where did this all start? It seems like Belt and Road, this economic corridor, started in 2006 surreptitiously, and then it was announced by Xi in 2013. Isn't that the way it is? Bob Ulinsky, is it true that you speak Russian? Is it true your father spoke Russian? Is it true your grandfather spoke Russian and had heavy contacts in the Russian Navy and intelligence? Going back to the father and the grandfather in these stories always is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It's always this OSS background, and then you find out everybody knew Donald Barr, Bill Barr's dad, and everybody got their fake IDs and false IDs for their paperclip program for Donald Barr.
Jeff Epstein.
Jeff Epstein,
or their father ran the entire Navy for Russia. I feel like.
And that was I can't remember who that
was. Castro's girlfriend, I thought.
Oh, Donitz,
Or no, it was.
The McDuff, Nosenko.
Yeah,
Nosenko's
Nosenko.
dad.
Yeah,
Nosenko's dad. McDuff, in our story, is interrogating a Russian guy whose dad ran the Russian Navy, and that means all the nuclear subs.
Is ECAT still on the phone?
ECAT, are you still there?
Yeah. Can I chat?
I am. Yes,
Yeah,
I am.
go ahead.
And the other thing I would like to say is what's so disturbing to me about them doing this purge is that, you know, we have what they taught us in school, like in high school. But what I have experienced with you guys was that this is history coming alive. And they're trying to destroy our walking through and our ability to connect to one another and discover our own history. That is what is so disturbing to me.
Yeah.
Because everything that my children are being taught in high school is not
Right.
what it is. And the way that you know, I lost so many friends. And I feel like I lost a lot of friends. And then I turned and I walked into this community that embraced me. And I've never met any of you people. And choose to spend my evenings with you.
Yeah.
And that's what's so disturbing is that I've come into a community that we are discovering these things that are shared common histories, and they're trying to take that from us. I don't like that at all.
Yeah.
So sign me up and send me one of those certificates.
Yeah. You're in the lawsuit. You're in the lawsuit. You're in the lawsuit, ECAT.
Oh, just a few housekeeping items. ECAT, I mean, we've chatted, obviously, you know, I mean, at this point, we chat in the live chat more than I chat with my old friends from high school, right? I mean, we're all hanging together. I have to admit, though, I did not know you were female. I guess I knew that.
Oh,
I don't know.
Avatar is a lovely blonde.
There's an avatar?
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
yeah,
I never
she's
even paid
gorgeous.
attention. Oh, my
Yeah,
God. I'm
she's
sorry. I just, like,
That's okay.
it's even better. It's all good. But where are you in Texas? Or?
I am in Tallahassee, Florida.
Oh, nice. Okay. Maybe I did know. Maybe I should have remembered. I'm sorry.
No worries.
It is what it is. Now we all know, right? I just want to say, you know, myself with all this purging and all that, like the metadata is worth all of it. You know, like it's not a loss
So right.
because like
It is a loss. It's such a loss.
well, think of it though, like we're fighting Dynology, right? Like we know that Dynology has this IIA technology that they fought wars with, and now they're using it against us. And we've even heard from their own material that they have 3.2 million assets, right? And most of those 3.2 million assets,
Probably one of them, and I ain't getting paid nothing.
well, most of those assets don't get paid and don't know that they're assets, right? They just are people on Facebook who are very reliable Karens or very reliable, just, you know, people in the way that they are on Facebook, right, left, or whatever. And
Unreliable Ellen.
well, our group, our research team here clearly is beyond what their algorithms are capable of understanding and capable of dealing with. And there's no basket for us. There's no box for us. There's nothing that the algorithm can do other than, you know, overheat and overload. And, you know, they got to call and turn us off. Right. So it's like, cool. Excellent. You know what? Like now we know. It's the same way that, you know, like probably back in thousands of years ago when they were lobbing cannonballs at the walls of a fort, you know, it was like, well, do these cannonballs work or do these cannonballs work? And, you know, how many guys died trying to get the cannonballs to knock the fort down? But you know what? Like, I think we found one. I think that when we add sarcasm and comedy and truthful authenticity in who we are, that we break their algorithm in a way that just causes them to shut us down. And then we see it and experience it. And it's like, cool. What's that? Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm done with my spiel. Cut me off, George. Cut me off.
Guy has no humor. Humor has always been one of my fallbacks. But what, you know, is also very disturbing to me is that, you know, you lost your tutor business, so you started the YouTube. And it's like this lockdown's been going on for a while. And, you know, people, it's like they were just waiting for people to run through their savings. And now here in the state of Florida, I'm a government contractor, and the contractors are the first to go. And I noticed that, you know, hey, I didn't get an email about benefit enrollment, open enrollment. So the writing's on the wall.
Yeah.
And, you know, that...
Hey, you know what?
What is because, you know, they say that, oh, you should have like 3 to 6 months of savings. That's about now, right? So now Biden's saying, oh, here comes dark winter, here comes dark winter.
Yeah.
And I'm already hearing people like storing food and, you know, we're a week away from God only knows what. You know, whether, I mean, I don't know. It's really infuriating. It's infuriating to me that to watch you had this business you built, they took that, right?
COVID response, yeah.
And they take that. So now you're up against, Dave pulled up the ticker. They're like top 3. I mean, wow, we really got it.
I will be a victim the day that I lay in a grave. And before then, there will be nothing but rejoicing and awesome excitement for everything the day has in store. And that's all there is to it, you know? And it's like,
you're young and stuff. There's people that can't.
You're not too old yourself. Come on.
Start over. Yeah, there's people that can't go start over that are living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
And now stuff's starting to dry up.
Yeah.
And I live in a state where we have a Republican governor, but Florida we're reliant on petroleum. We're reliant on the travel and tourism industry. And our governor opened us back up. And George, I'm afraid, you know, I just know I'm getting sprayed right now. And I had already said that like months ago that I was like, I feel like a cockroach. That I could see they were just spraying. Every night there was these planes going over, and it was so just disturbing. So I have no idea what, and there's also, you know, the mosquitoes. God only knows. I don't even know. And I'm glad I'm in North Florida, but still, I'm just, you know, it's very unnerving because, you know, we're all hanging on a wing and a prayer here, and I don't know, you know, what the hell's going to happen. But anyway, help me on your lawsuit.
All right, we're sending the certificate out. Thank you.
I know I'm rambling, but I do want to say also, dang, George, heck yeah, to the Caligula comment about Jason and Corsi earlier.
Sorry, I was at a low moment. I was at a weak moment there. Thank you very much for calling. Thank you.
Thanks for being on Team W.
I am definitely on Team W.
Team W, baby.
Okay,
Thanks
thank
to
you.
Addy Ads for hosting Team W tonight, right?
Yeah.
Team W.
I just want to say, sorry, really briefly, looking at what happened, you know, thank you. You know, we got zapped, and the resiliency of being together here is, you know, we were wiped out, you know, guess what happened? One day later, not even a day later, we were doing live streams. How many live streams have we done since the thing? 5?
Yeah, we've done a few. I don't know, the YouTube and the BNT. Brand new tube. Sorry, I know we're talking about BNT when I say BNT, not BLT.
No, it means brand new tube.
Brand new tube.
Aaron, put that in there.
Again, I put the link in the description box, guys. We are live on Brand New Tube right now. It's actually a privilege for us to be live on there. They only allow a certain number of channels to go live because of their limited resources, right? They aren't the empire that is Google and YouTube, who basically has unlimited resources behind them. So, you know, we are working at a deficit here somewhat in terms of that, but, you know, in wartime, you know, this is what happens. Individuals do not survive during wartime. That's something I learned from a Navy SEAL documentary. So
individuals do not survive.
Individuals do not survive during wartime. So that's why we're teaming up, and we have to, I think, come together as a group in many ways. Not only, you know, local rooms like this, but collectively, like with ECAT. I've never met her, but she has been subscribed to me for a while, and she likes to tune into my my comment section. So just groups like that too, where that collective community aspect comes out, because I think this country needs that more now than ever before, because we have a banner up here. It says a house divided, Michigan and Ohio State, and that's we're here in the swing states, Michigan, Ohio State. It's a house divided here in the regional area, but also at the national level as well. And I maybe be preaching to the choir here a bit for my Americans tuning in, but anybody else tuning in, I definitely have Canadian, New Zealanders, and Englanders that tune in. It's happening all over the world, really, in many ways. So I'm glad to be here and glad to provide a channel for perhaps the most censored man on the internet, George Webb. So I'm glad to do that.
So we're currently plugging in an alternative power source because I'm dying here on power. But I just want to say I totally agree with what you said about individuals die, and we can't. I mean, Task Force died. My research partner, Brian Lloyd, who was on Roger Stone's defense team, and he was going to do the class action lawsuit against YouTube. He's dead now. So I mean, individuals do die, and I don't want to be a downer, but we can't look at it like it's all about us. We have to look at it like it's a team game, and we have to keep this thing going. And I know that
hang together, we hang separately.
Hang together or hang separately. It's kind of like right back to the whole schmeal, with the declaration. So I'm gonna try. It's changed the weight here. So here we go.
We're gonna call in. We're live with George Webb.
Sorry,
this is George Webb Uncensored late night on YouTube and brand YouTube on Addy Ad's channel. And I put the link to the entropy in the description box, people.
Oh yeah.
Want to check that out?
Something else we should be thinking about is the no-deal Brexit that's coming.
No-deal Brexit. If you want to talk about no-deal Brexit,
I'm wondering if that might affect, like, if there's something will go on here.
Here, let me get you on so you can talk. Tell me your name again.
So there's the entropy live stream chat, folks.
Okay.
You can do super chats.
Okay, I got it.
And uncensored discussions as well.
So this is a caller from Oregon who knows one of our charrette attendees from Oregon. So he wanted to call in. He's trying to do some recruiting for the neighborhood news and West Coast version.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, Oregon. Come in. You're live on the Addy Ad show.
Hey, George. Hey, guys. We're just trying to get some recruits out here. Osprey PNW at Proton Mail.
Osprey.
And me. Yeah, you guys got that?
Yeah, Osprey PNW at Proton Mail.
Yep, and me and Carol both have access to that, and we got some fun stuff planned out here. So just wanted to throw that out there. We're ready whenever we get a couple more folks, but it's us too.
Are you with Carol right now?
No, but we've been chatting. We basically found each other through the comment section, just trying to find other people out here. I actually know Chris Milligan too. So
oh, great!
Oh,
yeah, and I'm here in McMinnville, so we got.
Oh, you're in Evergreen Aviation Land.
Yeah. They got a library out here, so we're kind of interested in checking some things out.
Yeah. The library Jeff Epstein built. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so we're gonna check it out and look up some things. We're both really in tune with what you guys are researching, so we're gonna see what we can provide in terms of what they have there. So,
what do you think about this Addy Ads kid? I think he's gonna be okay.
you got a future star. He's already got it down. I mean, there's the youth element to the PNW Osprey movement, and it's strong. I like what you guys are putting down.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for calling.
Yep.
Anybody in Oregon in that chat, make sure you contact this man.
734-224-7090.
Well, that's our number, but whatever that email he just gave.
At Osprey email, we're looking for people. Just hit us up. We want to kind of keep it small and everyone, kind of knowing what's up. But
Yeah,
dude,
yeah.
5 people's a perfect size.
Neighborhood News Hour, Oregon. I can't wait to come out and visit. I have relatives in Oregon. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you for calling.
For sure. Bye.
And again, that's Osprey PNW at protonmail.com. Call in number 734-224-7090. Here live at the Swing State Studios. Late night with George Webb, Addy Ads, Detroit Dave Underdown, Aaron Adler, Mark Buckley, and Tom CIA. We're just having a group late night stream.
Tom CIA.
And,
That's
you want to share something there, Aaron? What do you got?
this is the best addition to the newsroom of all things. Mark brought this. This is what we needed
Okay, so we got a map
for
here
research purposes.
of the
This is-
Caspian region.
This is the Caspian Sea region, which I guess I should just stand up, right?
Oh, you're good. Let me.
I could go over to that one
zoom in
too.
a little bit there.
I mean, honestly, you could get your own map up on your screen. It's just like as we've been doing the research with George and trying to learn, it's like it's so far away for us, you know.
Kashmir, Tajikistan. I actually when I went to Uzbekistan.
You went to Uzbekistan?
Yeah, I actually went there last year.
What?
Let me zoom out here. I met some dudes from Tajikistan. Really nice guys. I mean, these guys, you would, as you would imagine, they didn't have as much money as I did. But regardless, they bought me dinner. They bought the American guy dinner. They just wanted to buy me dinner, and so we had a burrito.
A burrito in Tajikistan?
Uzbekistan, actually. It was,
Did they talk about the Baku oil field? That Mushy Baku?
we did not talk about the Baku oil region nor Hitler's attempted conquest of it, but we did have an awesome burrito. I just wanted to mention that. But just going over the map here, here's Uzbekistan, police state. Kazakhstan, very large comparatively speaking, and very important when you look up at it in terms of the Russian Federation of the USSR's history. And I think, here we go. There it is. That's the place that's at war right now, Nagorno-Karabakh, Armenia, and Azerbaijan. So a lot of geopolitical play that's going on here, not only now,
Turkey and
but-
Greece are about to blow up.
but in history as well. And like Mr. Buckley just said, Turkey and Greece, they're often have very tense relationships with each other, right? Especially the islands. And we've talked about their kind of reaching. Well, I don't think we've talked about it here. I talked about it with Shrimp Zoo, but just they're reaching into the seas around them, right? In the fight between Turkey and Greece. But I don't know where you wanted to go exactly with.
No,
with this
just
map.
to say that like we have maps. We've got a lot of maps, and George's story as well as a lot of our research
and
centers around a ton of this. I think more interesting though is we
Uzbekistan.
found out you went to Uzbekistan. Who goes to Uzbekistan?
Yeah, I went to
Like,
Uzbekistan. Yes,
You
it
just
was-
were how? Why?
I was visiting family there
NATO.
actually.
NATO.
You have family in
Yeah,
Uzbekistan.
because they were working at the embassy there. So
NATO.
yeah, that's probably
Oh,
all I
okay.
should say.
Fair
yeah.
enough. Never mind. Whoa.
Yeah, it's just it is what it is,
NATO.
security clearance stuff. But
Yeah,
but yeah, Uzbekistan is a great country. They do live in a police state. They do live in a police state over in Uzbekistan, but very
Wow.
nice people. You can get a taxi ride for like $2 across the whole country, it seems. But
Is there skiing in Asia at all in the Himalayan mountains?
Sure.
Do they have ski resorts?
So Dave is our resident bougie man, and he always wants to do the bougie things, even if he's in Central Asia. Is
Whoa.
there skiing in Uzbekistan? I don't know.
Well, I know that like K2 and all the top mountains of the world are in that area, so I'm just curious if
Footsteps of the Himalayas, sure.
they harness it.
Yeah. I mean, you may be right. Actually, I can't
I mean, I think
speak
of obviously
to
like
that. But
Switzerland and Austria and Germany being big skiing areas in Europe. I didn't know if people went to.
I do have a message I could say about this map that
Yeah,
can bring
go
us
for
back
it,
to the
Aaron.
story. I hope we do get another call soon because this is the kind of night, the kind of stream we're taking calls. Really, I think brings us all.
yeah, we got an AMA
good
here tonight,
of,
folks.
As I look at this map, I guess I'm paused over there, right? I should maybe go over here. Okay. So as I look here at Afghanistan, I'm really struck by how Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, right? This whole region here creates this buffer between, and then there's Kazakhstan and everything up here, and you've got Russia, and it's like that was as far as the Soviet Union got was to Afghanistan, right? They probably wanted to keep going into Afghanistan, and the
Yeah.
Afghans stopped them. Is that why the Russian-Afghan war occurred back in the 80s. Ultimately, was like expansion. The expansion of the Soviet Union stopped, and then the whole thing occurred there. Would that be that in a nutshell, maybe?
Yeah, they exhausted themselves because NATO had kind of had them, blocked on the east.
And that I recall being really like branded as this like long slog of a war that just kept going on, and you couldn't defeat the Afghanis. You couldn't defeat the Afghanis. Well, it's the same way we've dealt with now. We've been there 20 years. I mean, this is getting out of control, right? And it's just like this never-ending thing. And it's like, is it a never-ending thing because of the vigor and fighting style of the Afghan soldiers, or is it an ongoing thing because of the school play?
What are you countering there?
Is it an ongoing thing because of the school play being put on by the Sialkot
There's
generals?
nothing there.
Pipeline.
Right, pipeline and minerals, and the best rule I've heard in all this is Dr. Hamamoto. If you follow Dr. Hamamoto, we do a Thursday night show on McDuff, and his rule is it's never more than 100 people, no matter how big the war, no matter how big. I guess I'll move over. They're going to move me over.
Move back over.
So
somebody else take the wingman seat up.
no matter how big the war, no matter how big the continent. It's always 100 people at most. The revolution in China, 100 people, right? And you look at all these things, and if you have the Russians come over with the tanks, then we can go ahead and do Operation Cyclone and Zbigniew Brzezinski and give them all this money. What are you laughing at, Addy?
Harry Bacharach.
What's he saying?
No, look at this.
A cam girl site for truth instead of porn. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, this is sort of a guy's, frat house.
It's sort of a peep show of information.
Peep show of the deep state.
Yeah.
It is sort of
Explicit information.
Yeah. I mean, we are kind of exposing it really for what it is. It's never, ever, ever more than 100 guys.
Hamamoto.
It's never more than 100. It's usually about 50. The Teneo blackberries that you're going to hear covered up, and Hunter's going to be the bag man, and he's going to get blamed for all these wars. That was 50 blackberries. All these things are a very small number of people, and here it is. Osama bin Laden is the freedom fighter in Afghanistan. We're going to give him money for 20 years. Well, where did that money really go? It went to bin Laden Group.
Kevin Simmers will comment there. Uzbekistan is
the buckle on the Belt and Road.
Yes, it is the buckle on the Belt and Road. But what I'm trying to say is all that money that we thought we were giving bin Laden to be the freedom fighter in Russia was going to the bin Laden Group to do pipelines and bridges and tunnels and dams by the bin Laden Group, and to look for oil for the bin Laden Group in Sudan and build a pipeline across for Kofar Black and the bin Laden Group in Sudan. We were hoodwinked. These are all money laundering operations over and over and over again. It's never, ever, ever more than 100 guys, which is really good because it's never countries. It's never countries. It's always a small group of people, and you have to hone in on the Kofar Blacks. You hone in on the John Brennans. You'll always be right. You're always going to be right.
It's kind of hard to comprehend, I think, for a lot of people that it's just a really small group of people that are just influencing the world in such ridiculous ways.
Even going back a generation, I was listening to an old interview with George Shultz, and he was talking about in the, I think it was when he was maybe after doing the Vietnam negotiations, or he talked about how he was checking in on a dam project, and that he was, super dam project in
Bechtel.
And he was Bechtel, and it was in it was either in Pakistan or Afghanistan, but this would have been in the 70s that he made a special trip to check on that project they're doing in Pakistan, going back that far. And so, I do think that these groups are pretty tight. I mean, talk about the Bin Laden construction group doing a lot of these super projects for building ports, building nuclear facilities, big super highways, like all those projects. But, there aren't that many companies out there that do it. And, Bechtel is one of them. The Kiewit construction group that Warren Buffett's affiliated with out of Omaha, they're another one. There really aren't that many players that do these, Hoover dams or, these super infrastructure projects. It's a pretty small group of companies that have the the training of employees, the equipment to even attempt these kind of projects. So it's
And what happens when they dynamite or C4 the Three Gorges Dam? I have a feeling they put all of the dissidents down there between the Three Gorges and Wuhan. They're all right there. And as soon as they hit that sucker, all those bodies are just going to be washed right down the Yangtze. So you look at it and you see, if you look at these patterns, which is what I love, because it's kind of like reading the tea leaves, you can see the future. You can see the future. And everybody goes, oh, you're a genius. You read the future. No, I just looked at how they did the last 5 ops. And I thought, well, this one, 6th one will probably be like the other 5.
I like to study the patterns of the universe. And this is another medium with which one can study patterns is dark weapons, trafficking, the deep state, whatever you want to call it. You know, these illegal arms dealers, the guys at the top. There is a pattern and somewhat of a method to their madness, a rhyme to their reason, shall we say.
I like that. Oh, you're getting good here. This is awfully poetic.
I mean, I feel like even if you just pull up like a
Hold on. We got to get Addy in full poetry mode here. We're going to have this new camera. It's going to be called poetry mode. Go, Addy, go.
Yeah, well, I just, it's just pretty basic thought, I guess. But, it's just studying the patterns of the universe, whether it's science or grammar. That's how we learn language is patterns and patterning. And
Well, can I throw a pattern in?
Yeah, definitely.
Like I go hire 20 guys with some C4, right? And I'm whoever, Warren Buffett or whoever, and I blow up something. Okay. And then I go, oh my, Khobar Tower in Saudi Arabia, or the embassy in Kenya, or the embassy in Tanzania. These are 2 Peter Strzok ops. Don't let anybody fool you. Peter Strzok paid the money. C4 came from Abdullah in Jordan, but that's just between us. But anyway, you blow these things up, and oh my God, wow, this is terrorism's on the loose. Boko Haram, is going off the. We need to push all this money into these Somali drug dealers. We have to support the Somali drug dealers to get a whole bunch of weapons to secure this area. And that is the story. They cause these big false flag explosions so that the American taxpayer will shove tremendous amounts of billions of dollars so that they can invest it for themselves. And it always, sorry, I'm going on too much.
No, go.
It's always the Bin Laden group that gets the money. It's always Khobar Black and Bin Laden group that get the money. Wherever the disaster occurs and you have the rebuilding project, right? It's always Khobar Black and Bin Laden right there to catch the money. Oh, geez, I just have to be right here. Oh, throw me the billion. And that's
who could be running the Bin Laden group now? Khobar Black?
Well, there were 50
Well,
sons.
Khobar Black, but there are
Osama bin Laden had 50 brothers.
Yeah, and 17 sisters.
One of them, huh?
Yeah, and Dave
family
makes a good
reunion.
point about Amal Clooney. Man, she looks like the last Bin Laden kid, right?
So
Yeah.
Amal
Also
Clooney,
Lisa Page
Amal
also.
Clooney.
Amal Clooney, cousin of Huma, Abby?
Oh, she looks just like Huma, and also there's a huge resemblance with Lisa Page.
Yeah.
You just think it's all the Bin Laden kids. I mean, like Rothschild used to do back in the day. It's like, okay, we're going to make it all our kids.
James Alefantis. He's a Rothschild, I guess.
Well, so I say.
So they
Also
say
with,
George isn't buying that one, guys.
Well,
I
also with
think
Clooney's wife though, she's also
Purbright
Sullivan.
is Purbright really the middle name of some Rothschild? I don't know.
Oh, is that his middle name?
Purbright's supposed to be the middle name of one of the
And
Rothschilds.
is Rothschild and Rockefeller are the same family, just the American and the European version.
There are
of the same
those.
names.
There are those that say these things.
These Ospreys better start calling, or else we're going to call them.
Okay. Well, we
We're going
should
to find
say
other people's numbers.
the phone number is 734-224-7090.
We've had some good calls.
We've had some good
taken
calls.
some great calls today.
Actually, I didn't want to do politics tonight because you guys were on a roll with science fiction. Like you,
about the Star Trek.
I got one for
The audience
Mark. I
doesn't
got
want
one
Star
for
Trek.
Mark. I got one for
What
Mark.
about Porter Goss? I feel like he's a name.
Porter Goss.
Yeah.
Is he a Kofor
Yeah,
Black kind of sidekick?
We got a question here from Kevin. Did you guys hear the news about Lisa Page changing her official schedule after the fact?
What
Okay.
officials? What day, Kevin?
Yeah, could you clarify a bit, please, Mr. Timmer?
Oh, by the way, this Bevan Cooney, the mystery man who's always hanging around different pipeline points, in Toledo was in Mansfield for a while. And Mark here is a railroad guy. He knows all the rights of way. And what they did was they put all these pipeline routes along the rail line right of ways. True?
Doing it now.
And is not Mansfield one of the right of ways?
Yeah, the old Pennsylvania Railroad main goes. But
And up from Findlay to here is another right of way.
mm-hmm. It doesn't run much. It runs right next to the. You go down there by North Baltimore. There's a truck stop there, and exit at McDonald's, and the track runs right next to it. Comes out to Toledo, and the main crosses there. But and that line got rebuilt years ago and signaled that, and probably at that time the pipeline got put in. That would have been back, maybe 40 years ago. Even.
Note to self: when doing a live podcast, don't bring cups of mixed nuts to the.
It's not a good.
We're all eating nuts. We're all eating mixed nuts here. Yeah,
I'm not eating mixed nuts.
It's Aaron's fault. We're all eating nuts.
Let it be known, but we are live here. It's
licorice
is this Sunday?
next time. It is Sunday night.
Sunday night.
Great time for a wrap-up show.
Monday night.
It's Monday.
Oh, it's
night.
Monday night. Oh my
It's
God,
Monday
I'm
Night
sorry. My
Football,
bad. My
yeah.
bad.
I always
Sacrifice
get the days
Monday Night
wrong,
Football.
folks. Monday night, we're here live at the Swing State Studios with George Webb, Aaron Adler, Detroit Dave, Mark Buckley, and Tom CIA. This is Addy Ads. I'm your host for this evening. We are fighting the great YouTube purge. How long this channel, this outlet will be open, who knows? But we are trying to take advantage of it while we can. And I want to implore people to head over to the brand new tube. We actually live on brand new tube right now. It's Late Night with George Webb Uncensored. That is the name of it. Oh, looks like we got Miss Georgia Peach tuned in. Are you really live? Yes, we are, Miss Georgia Peach.
Yep.
She loves your questions and explanations, Aaron. So you got a fan over on brand new tube. So shout out to Miss Georgia Peach for tuning in. And also, I want to plug it again, Entropy for super chats, because you can't super chat on my YouTube channel. And if you guys want to use that for uncensored chat, you can do that as well. But Dave actually sent this over earlier because I asked about Harry the Greek. And
Pete Buttigieg spraying bioweapons in Libya.
And this is where George got in trouble with Ken for not being able to read a military record report.
This is where the death threats came from when I started saying Buttigieg was spraying in
And he's
Libya
like, you
from
don't know how to
Malta.
read his report, and you don't know where he was.
And I was right. He was Yukon.
Oh,
So why? What's the significance of this guy? Look at him. Like he's got his Navy uniform. See, most people don't even probably know this guy. You had a uniform.
He's going to be the JFK in 4 years. He's going to be the young, new.
I feel like they had the Obama trainer with him though, because just the way the cadence of his voice, the way he speaks publicly, it's like he reminds me a lot of his voice reminds me a lot of the Obama oratory style.
Yeah.
Can you give us a wrap-up of who in Malta is named Buttigieg? Isn't it like the finance minister, or it's like the current finance minister, but historically there have been a number of different leaders in Malta?
You're not talking about Papadopoulos in Greece though, with the overthrow, right?
Well, Papadopoulos in Cyprus, but with him, his cousin wrote the history of the Knights of Malta, the military order of the Vatican.
Wrote the book.
Correct.
Right.
The
This guy.
whole history. Yes.
This guy's cousin.
Yes. He was born in Malta.
Knights of Malta, right
He's
there.
from Malta.
So he's not eligible to run for president.
Well, he was supposedly on a CIA base, though, so that makes him eligible to be president.
Okay. All right.
Oh, they have a CIA base in Malta. That's
Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of the
convenient.
John McCain.
Another outsider.
Born on the base in Panama.
But just like John McCain, born on a CIA base, Barack Obama, born on a CIA base, that makes him legitimate president.
Wow,
No.
that's crazy. All possible presidents, and one of them was a president.
But the big thing about Buttigieg is he had no compunction about using chemical weapons or biological weapons in Syria or Libya. You've heard all about the Stinger missiles. There has to be an intelligence officer on the ground that moves this shit from one place to another to be used in another theater. and you're going to find history will record. I may be dead by then, but it is going to be Pete Buttigieg, right? You know, you have to have people who are willing to blow up embassies or consulates and have your Ambassador Stevens, you know, tortured in the street. You have to have people that are willing to do that sort of thing, and that's how you get promoted. And that's Pete Buttigieg.
I just like the whole thing with this candidacy. Like, oh, the small town mayor, Mayor Pete, the small town mayor, and it's like, of all the towns you could pick to be the small town, you're gonna pick South Bend, Indiana, where Notre Dame University, you know, the Catholic bastion of America. It's like you're not really convincing us that it's a small town mayor. He's a placed mayor in a medium-sized town.
Blue city.
It's a perfect recruiting ground. It's a recruiting ground for people, operatives from all over the world to bring them into Indiana.
I'm just like, how do people like? I don't know. I mean, all of us here in our
his whole backstory is tough, though. I mean, I feel like he came out as gay like in his 30s, which, you know, I don't know. I mean, I've known gay people, and I don't feel like anybody I've ever known, you know, at least from my generation, waited until their 30s to you know. So again, I mean, it's possible, but those are the kind of things that
the young white male demographic is being gay in the Democrat side is going to be, you know, I mean, okay. It's like so. But I'm kind of like, is he really gay? Because it's like, if he's here for president now, I would see him like getting married and turning on all that. Just because I don't know if he's real or not. That, you know, if he's.
Well, either way, Harry the Greek single-handedly took him down really, and just exposed the real story. Because it was like, I mean, we were months into his candidacy. And lots of information, and he was shooting up the charts, and nobody had said anything about service, let alone the Horn of Africa.
Yeah,
you know, it's like we got this far, and the Horn of Africa hasn't come up. You know, and
it is amazing.
You would think they would mention that he was in the military, right?
I never knew.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Well, and then they were starting to say, you know, you're this, you're that, and then finally at the end of the debates, they were saying you were an intelligence officer, and he was like, yeah, okay, I was an intelligence officer.
Yeah.
You know,
It's like to be flash mob dances. I think on the the dance.
They did not want to get into the.
But here's the other thing too, though. Okay, Knights of Malta, which is like the military kind of wing of the Roman Catholic Church,
right?
Military order,
and they're like rivals with the Jesuits. And there was even this issue here where they had an election for the new, I don't know, cardinal or whatever, the arch person that is in charge of that Knights of Malta. And the Pope had his person, they were an election, he wanted to get his person in
Jesuit
there.
guy.
So I don't know. It's like, did the Jesuits, you know, they're the ones like, well, we turn this up on Buttigieg. Is there a rivalry to that point, you know, that the Jesuits don't want the Knights of Malta, you know, in their business, or
internal battle.
The whole conclusion of World War II with the Italians being they were partners with the Nazis during the war, and then we were partners with Russia, and then kind of flips where next thing Russia and is our enemy, and then Italy's our friend again. So it's these things. I feel like there are a lot of.
Malta ended up because that was from the Crusades, because they left. The Knights of Malta, are supposed to be the protectors of Jerusalem and the holy places. And they were run out, and they ended up exiling themselves on Malta. They've been there since the Crusades.
They stopped these roads for a little bit, and then they fled from there.
Comment here from Kevin Timmer. But before we go to that, Dave wanted to say something.
I just want to say one thing too with the Knights of Malta. The official name is the Sovereign Military Hospitalier Order of St. John of Jerusalem, of Rhodes, and of Malta. So I always feel like the Rhodes Scholars, the Rhodes Round Table, like
the Colossus of Rhodes.
Colossus of Rhodes, which is the nickname of the Kiewit construction building in Omaha. So
wow,
yeah, that's what they call it.
And that was one of the seven wonders of the ancient world. Was the big lighthouse, the Colossus.
Yeah. So
former FBI lawyer Lisa Page appears to have deleted and then recreated key entries in her official calendar, according to records turned over to Judicial Watch in a FOIA.
This according to Sperry per Kevin Timmer.
Sperry, Paul Sperry.
So wasn't she the one that tried to do the do-over 302 report for the Mike Flynn trial, where they couldn't come up with the original meeting notes, so she kind of did the
all the
3
meetings
months
with
later,
the,
like, hey, like we'll just whip some up and it'll all fly. Like
all
no
the
one will
meetings
care.
with informants, the preparatory and the post meetings with informants, they've tried to rebadge as horrible attacks on true patriots. These weren't preparatory meetings for informants that were going to go in and blackball everyone with surveillance. No. These were horrible entrapment meetings.
This narrative they've given us with Carter Page and Papadopoulos, and then on super steroids with Flynn, is really, I mean, that's why they can't handle us. That's why we don't
Because
fit
the
in
media
the box.
has lost control of the narrative.
The best Papadopoulos though was the going from the 5-star hotels to like the one-legged,
Korean lady.
Korean hooker or whatever.
In the old days, just
Yeah.
just thrown in the
Paying
trash,
cash.
and no one would have heard about it. It would have just been gone.
The second lure, people don't know, they don't think of it like this, but there's a whole bunch of lures to the Trump campaign with the DNC emails. And if you think about it, after you publicize the DNC emails with WikiLeaks, you can't use them as a lure anymore. They're already public. Okay. So now if you want to try it again, you got to come up with another set of emails. And that was Podesta emails. And those get lured all around. And so the one that people forget about is Wikistrat. I went there. It turned out that they were in a shared office with CNN in this building, in the CNN building. Joel Zamel, who's been a long time, friend of Jeff Zucker, who's been doing all these propaganda things with Mossad.
So he's going to be a bad Mossad.
Oh yeah,
we think.
Yeah, Jeff Zucker. He's offering Mike Flynn's son these emails. He's offering Mike Flynn these emails. He's offering the other informants in the Trump campaign emails. These are things that just have never been splayed out for the American people. They're just, Joel Zamel was just running around and he just happened to have the other's emails. And how did that happen? All these things. The FBI, think about Bessel and Skaya before the Donald Trump meeting. You have to sit down with the informant. You have to work the informant over things that you want them to ask. And then they go in and they ask those questions. They're wearing a wire and then they blah, blah, blah. And then you sit down with them after the meeting like they did with Bessel and Skaya. That happened over and over and over again. And hundreds wore wires. Hundreds were sent into the Trump campaign wearing wires. That's the part we don't understand yet. But it will come out.
So by the way,
wearing wires or de facto wires through guys like Carter Page, who had the one-hop rule, where basically anybody in the campaign they could scoop their stuff from.
Well, and if you said anything about, hey, I'm going to go over to Patina's party, I filmed one of them in May of 2017, where everyone was going over to Kiselyak's house. As soon as you go the first time, they have everything. They're not just intercepting your communications anymore. They're going to go into your laptop. They're going to go into your phone. It's full on. And you know what's amazing is they collected so much terabytes. They collected from the Trump campaign, and they didn't find anything because Trump pretty much shoots from the hip, and he does everything verbally.
So before we get too far off, talking about bad Mossad building backdoors in advanced technology,
or just Mossad, as I say.
Well,
or just Mossad.
There's a good Mossad. There's a good Mossad.
MI6 franchise in the Middle East.
We're gonna have to do a good Mo bad Mo.
I'm working on it, people. I'm working on it.
Good Mo bad Mo.
Jared, he knows not what he says, Jared. He knows not what he says.
You think Jared Kushner's listening, George?
But
we're gonna get him there. Don't worry, Jared.
Here's a good one for you, George. I bet you didn't see this in the news today. Carlyle Group nears $2.4 billion deal for Siemens Flender business. Now, Siemens, right? Because It was a Siemens, the Stuxnet operation in Iran was a Siemens control mechanism. And these are
the military metals.
These are Siemens mechanical drive units. So the Carlyle Group purchasing a mechanical drive unit of Siemens. It's just like,
well, it's funny how they do these. It's kind of like having when your neighbor orders a dumpster and you have a bunch of shit in your house that you also need to throw away, and then they go away for the weekend, right? And it's rolling on Monday, right? And you go, well, I wouldn't mind, I've got this old dinette set, I'll throw that in there, and we just throw all the shit in there. By the end of the weekend, you've unloaded the whole garage, you're just throwing it in there.
And then the people come home Monday and it's still there. And they're going, where the hell
Where the hell did all
Those
this
are
shit come from?
They're a day late.
This
picking it up.
this part of the election is the last 2 weeks is they're just unloading all this shit, just every operation they've run.
You're saying like
Those are engines.
this business is probably so overloaded with bad Mossad backdoors and garbage that they're just like, here, Carlisle Group, you dispose of it.
Well, look at the Russians, the hackers, the 6 hackers that just came out, and they said, oh, by the way, these guys hacked the power grid, and now we're going to bust them right now, 3 weeks before the election, right? And they hacked the French elections. Oh, here we go.
No, I'm just going to show the article. You keep talking. I'm just showing them the article so they can look it up for themselves.
And so the little piece of information that you didn't get, because it's just kind of like they make a big show about these things. They show all the pictures and say, all these bad guys, Boris bad enough. And then it's oops, oh, by the way, these guys were the guys who hacked Maersk. These guys were the guys who hacked Maersk and destroyed all the records of all the CIA covert maritime shipping, right? These guys are the ones who covered up Libya, Syria, Sudan, and Iran, right? So I love it when all of a sudden, right, when the evidence is going to come out, oops, these Russian hackers that we have, they're sort of like standby, character actors that, bad guys that like a movie studio would have. They bring them in right at the end.
Well, Habonim Dror, drama camps have been training them since 1915 in White Russia, like you indicated, or,
it's always Habonim Dror at the end of the day. It's always going to be the drama camps.
Well, there are more drama camps than just Habonim Dror.
Fisher Island a drama camp too?
Yes, and Seth Rich was one Habonim Dror.
I don't know that Seth Rich was at Habonim Dror, but there's a number.
Wisconsin.
There's a number of these.
He was up there with Addy Eds. I think
it very well might have been at Habonim Dror. They have a few, but it's just like all these drama camps, man. It's just like, don't send your kids to drama camp.
What happens at
or
drama
do
camp?
Send your kid to drama camp? I guess
I remember this one time at drama camp. I had to
I was
act.
just saying that movie was written by guys from East Grand Rapids High School in Michigan, the American Pie movies. So it's some Michigan pride right there too.
There you have it. Well, we're going to get back on Addy Ads. We're going to get back to Mr. Good Looks here and get away from me.
Addy, do you know about Mossad fronting shell companies for the purpose of creating backdoors and the technology of those companies?
I know a bit about that from Ryan. I know that the atom bomb was largely stolen that way. And it's not just Israel though too. It's like Eric Weinstein was talking about this too, where I think the comparison he made was like a brand new Ferrari, or I don't even know what that would be. Whatever your Ferrari equivalent is for America. But written on it is "steal me" in Hebrew, Russian, Chinese, etc. Right, with just everything that was going on with globalization, and particularly in the universities and research universities, which is a huge conduit for stealing intellectual property. Mm-hmm. And when you look at something like the 1,000 Talents program for China. This is how they infiltrate universities, and that was actually the connection between Charles Lieber, who was the Harvard professor, who I think he actually got indicted earlier this year for
Lieber,
right? Charles Lieber, I think his name.
Yeah,
was.
Lieber, and of course, when you have 1,000 talents, you really only need 2 talents. That are in the bedroom, right? I mean, Lieber's 25-year-old assistant, and then supposedly her 27-year-old brother. They get these guys hooked on the thing, and then they're all of a sudden paying them $60,000 a month as an honorarium to go over to Wuhan, and they got him at that point. You own this guy at that point. You have a funnel of all the intellectual property out of Harvard. And the other interesting thing with that membrane technology, you know, they're putting a little diode in the membrane of these cells, is you don't need to have every cell in the body with these transmembrane diodes that react, right? All you need to do is figure out some place like the various lymph nodes, right? The lymph nodes, you know, coagulate things, etc. You only need a concentration of a small area, and then now I aim the identification technology, and now you have I think Lieber was working on a technology that was a biometric identification technology. Now, some people say no, they wanted to use 5G, and that was going to light up the cells, and that was going to kill anybody they wanted. It was a death ray, and all this stuff. I think Lieber was just working on a biometric identification technology.
Lieber, the one who died, or no, he didn't die. He's in jail right now.
He's
right?
not really in jail. He's being held at home, I think. I don't think he's even in prison. But all these things were programs that were started by CIA, and they're trying to make it look like Trump's somehow involved in this. Interesting.
You know, I as we're doing fun facts here, I sent you a text you probably didn't see because I've been sending you lots of texts. But as we talk about all this stuff, Robert Maxwell and the history of Robert Maxwell so clearly shines the light on all this stuff, right? Which is why, you know, it's like Robert Maxwell's entire job and career, and now that the dust has settled on the life of Robert Maxwell, you know, it's just like so obvious what these guys do, right?
Intellectual property theft. I mean, that was Robert Maxwell. He had Pergamon Press. He had the Times Mirror Group. Dave's kind of the expert.
He was a book burner too, as a publisher.
Yeah,
because I was reading this course of Russian history, and I had it up, but down at the bottom, Macmillan. Well, he bought Macmillan, and it was like all those books that we used in college, they all disappeared. They were taken off. Couldn't use them anymore. It was like the next class was like the book is no longer available.
Macmillan Publishing, I remember it well.
It'll be great, Addy, when we start doing Bible stories together, even though you've impressed me with your Bible stuff. But this is a picture of a stained glass window that was the centerpiece of the Robert Maxwell home, where this would, like, right as he came down the stairs in his home, this is a stained glass window of Samson. The original Victorian stained glass window on the stairs showing Samson at the gates of Gaza was damaged during the war and was replaced by the Maxwells. The new window, created by Israeli sculptor and ceramicist Nehemiah Azaz, depicts Robert Maxwell himself as Samson. He has around his neck a large pendant with a supposed head of Penelope to indicate blah, blah, blah. So Robert Maxwell himself depicts himself in this fancy stained glass mirror as Samson. Do you know the story of Samson?
Samson.
So we're testing Addy on his Bible knowledge here, real quick.
Jump in here, folks.
Do you know the story of Samson, Addy? Here we go.
He got his strength from his hair.
Oh,
he fought.
Let's cut Eddie's hair.
Yeah.
Take away his strength. Take away his strength.
He fought the Philistines, I think.
Philistines, yeah.
Wow. He got together with a girl named Delilah, who cut off his hair, right?
Right.
And betrayed him.
But this scene now, the end scene of Samson, not to ruin the ending for you.
Does he push the two pillars?
Yep. They blind him. They
That's right.
They poke his eyes out, and then he's like in the temple of the Philistines, and he prays to God for enough strength to be able to tear down their whole like temple where they're going to sacrifice him, and he ends up dying like in this stadium with all the Philistines, and he brings down the whole stadium, and they all die together.
More people died in Israel that day.
But that's Robert Maxwell.
But can I tell you
himself as Samson? Very peculiar.
It's late. It's late now, so not a lot of people are watching. So I'm going to tell you the real history here.
Okay, good. Yeah.
Okay.
And so the real story,
Bedtime story.
it is, but this is the real story of Robert Maxwell.
Mm-hmm.
Should I say this? No, I'll say it. So Bob Maxwell was the guy who got Burgess and Kim Philby as sexual lures for Angleton, who was our number 2 at CIA. And Angleton was, he was uncompromisable except with men. He loved,
Really?
If he locked on to a really good looking guy, he was putty.
So Maxwell found male Oconus lures
Correct.
to compromise Angleton.
That's correct. And Kim Philby was the first one. And Angleton fell out of love with Kim Philby and then fell in love with Guy Burgess. Or it could be the other way around, but I think it was Philby first and Guy Burgess.
Why would you hesitate to tell that story? That's
What I want to say is the Samson option that's how we got Demona. That's how we got the.
You're saying the picture of him as is like that's the Samson option.
Yeah,
more.
That's how we got the bomb. That's how we got Demona and everything.
What does that mean? Like I don't get it. Like,
That was
the new mech with Shapiro with Zalman Shapiro came from the Apollo group, and then all the technology that you needed. Remember, Demona was all underground.
Absolutely, yes. They
And
pretended it was a textile factory.
And it was out
or
in
whatever,
the
right?
gap. It was out in the gap. So it had to be completely like Kennedy was like, "Hey, what the fuck are you doing out there?"
But you're saying it was called the Samson option? Like that was like the operation?
Yes. Seymour Hirsch wrote a book called The Samson Option.
Right, I've seen that. I guess we should read that.
And
that was outing these gay.
Well,
he didn't.
No. It's just telling the story of Demona and Golda Meir and all
Sure.
that. But the real
It's good
story,
to know, yeah.
the real story is the compromise of Angleton. Angleton wasn't particularly pro-Zionist until the compromise, and he fell in love with two guys who were, Israel of, like they. How do you say that? Not phobes, but files. Yeah, and that's how he fell in love with, and because Philby went down to Lebanon and lived there in Lebanon, and Angleton would come over there and meet him in Lebanon, and then later on he had a torrid affair with Guy Burgess in Cambridge.
I've heard about Guy Burgess. I didn't realize
One
it was
thing,
like with
when
Angleton.
Kim Philby,
When he softened, I mean, not literally, but like he didn't get as excited about Philby anymore, and he needed a new charge, and then Bob Maxwell was the guy.
But now Angleton's around in the killing of JFK, we think, right?
Big time.
Holy moly!
Philby was the chief of MI6 intelligence operations in Spain and Portugal.
Help me out here, brother.
And he was the head of counterintelligence for the MI6.
Philby? Yeah. Well, if you notice a lot of this,
is this the whole Cambridge 5 deal?
Yeah, Cambridge 5.
Yeah.
Cambridge 5.
Yeah.
And that's all Bob Maxwell.
Well, what do you think? Should we beg these people for another call, or
good.
Or let's call it a night?
I just want the Georgetown set. Would you say like the Washington Post people?
I just want to say it seems like there's like it's almost a requirement of like to be the CIA head to have like an affinity for young men, like with William Casey and his use of Craig Spence's gay escort service in Washington D.C. He was into, I guess, young guys with like swimmers' bodies, so like kind of the long, lanky, skinny look. William Casey, and then we got Angleton, who I guess was into young guys too. Yeah, so it's a pattern. Speaking of patterns,
J. Edgar Hoover is also very famous for that. He was the longest FBI director, and he.
Was he a pedophile? Was he actually a pedophile?
I don't know if he was a pedophile, but he was known for kind of going on the, hanging out on these kind of getaway
No, he was in
weekends.
love with the number 2 guy. I can't remember his name right now.
It was Bonnie and Clyde, was what they called him. It was,
Clyde.
And when he died, the picture that
he gave all of his money to that guy.
And he got all because the story was that what's his name, Meyer Lansky had the the incriminating blackmail on Hoover that he used against him basically his whole career.
Clive Tolson.
And then when J. Edgar Hoover
he gave
died,
all of his money to Tolson.
And Hoover was supposedly had these secret files that he had collected throughout his career, and Tolson was supposed to get those files for So.
Yeah, and I wrote a book about McDuff, who was researching Oswald and Ruby, and I think the other 2 things that we haven't answered is Bannister, Guy Bannister, and Clay Shaw. So there's some research going on there. there was some overlap with Cambridge 5 there somehow with the perm index. We don't know all the connections yet, but it's kind of fun.
The Roy Cohn.
You're the perm
the
index
Roy
guy.
Cohn connection in perm index is very interesting. You know, getting into the Plaza Hotel and the Studio 54. And
All compromise operations.
All
these,
compromise. Yeah.
Yeah. And they all young men, because young men were the taboo thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're caught on film with the young man in the full Franklin operation, you mentioned this earlier with Colby, you're out, you know, as soon as they see you with that. So all this intrigue is really all the Bob Maxwell type shit, you know. It's like, I mean, this is Bob Maxwell.
I mean, I think it literally is like the J. Edgar Hoover having the, Meyer Lansky having the blackmail over him. It's sort of the same idea of these kind of guys leading these powerful groups, and they've got, they got the goods on you, and it's kind of a, I feel like they probably have, it's just sort of they have incriminating information on each other, and I feel like that's probably where we are right now too. Well,
I think Bob Maxwell saw this as an imperative. He saw, okay, Israel will be overrun, and we got to have this, and so whatever it takes, I'm going to do whatever I have to do, and there are still questions here.
I mean, Bob Maxwell is buried on the Mount of Olives.
Yeah,
you don't just get buried Mount on the you can't buy a plot on the Mount of Olives. And
I think you'll find that our Mr. Angleton has got a very high place in Israel.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I'm not sure what the national order had given him, but they gave him a very high role. I mean, here's how I know Angleton was involved in Dimona. He was a botanist. Right. And he was always growing these orchids. He was an international orchid expert. And he was cutting outside of Dimona, he was cutting these, I think it was olive trees, and seeing how much radiation.
Wow, that's right. I've heard you tell that story.
Yeah. He could tell by the amount of uranium poisoning. He came out to his lover at the time. He was bisexual.
Sure.
And he said 97%. He didn't even have to go into the plant. He didn't even have to go into Dimona. He could just do the cuttings and say this thing is producing at top.
I'm gonna have to study up on my Angleton tonight. I think definitely.
Angleton's your man to figure out a lot of these files. These 58,000 files, because Dave mentioned it earlier. Are we waxing too much?
No, I think we're doing great. I don't know.
Dave mentioned it earlier that this Reinhard Gehlen was basically this spy chief in Nazi Germany. And he said, hey, rather than all of us dying and being hunted down the rest of our lives, why don't we split? We'll send half of us to Russia, half of us to the United States. We'll get into all the defense industries, and we'll constantly be doing shit that makes the other side even more afraid, so we can get even more money.
And we'll unleash the coronavirus in 2020 through our international sporting body, the CISM, at the Wuhan NATO games.
Yeah, exactly. That was my next sentence.
Perfect.
Sorry, I had to
but there you go.
I mean, people are talking about with Reinhard Gehlen, and why would you make a deal with him? He had built the network that had studied the Russian. If you're making a strategic decision that the Russians are your enemy for the next 70 years, the person that has the database on those people already is somebody that you would make a deal with.
The number one army to fight the Bolsheviks.
That's an asset that you would want more than almost anything.
And they said, look, we can work these guys for decades. We're if we give little secrets to each side, if we do Sputnik here and we do a U-2 shoot down there, there's these people, we're going to have them constantly in fear. Think about coronavirus. It's the same thing. We'll have these people constantly in fear. They'll give us untold amounts of money if we can do this. Yeah. Look at coronavirus is what, 6 trillion now, 5 trillion in shakedown. That's incredible. Absolutely. For just one little vial, one little test tube. You need Imran, and you need Imran to put it in a lot of air filters. But after you have your, lackeys run around with the air filters, you're good to go.
Now that you bring up Imran, just to bring him back to the last thing we were talking about, and I'm sure we'll wrap it here soon if we don't get a phone call, right? Sure. They want calls, says not now. Yeah, call us, guys, or we're going to have to go to sleep here, right, without the calls. Imran Awan, Oconus lure?
I think
No.
early days he was. I think they wanted to get inside. Debbie Wasserman Schultz, they knew was going to Washington, and they
Did he Oconus lure Debbie Wasserman Schultz?
Absolutely.
Oh,
How
my
is that a
goodness.
surprise, guys? How is that?
He is a strapping man. That's why I asked. I mean, I'm a fully heterosexual, I promise. But
how is that a surprise? Look at it from Pakistan.
Imran's better looking than all of us, except for maybe Addy. I don't know.
Right.
Yes.
The answer to that would be yes.
Just put it back.
Yeah. But look at from Pac ISI's point of view. Look, if we can do this, if we can get her right, and I mean,
Sure.
she's right inside the whole Mossad inner circle. And I'm sorry, but the bad Mossad inner circle in Congress. And I'm sorry if I'm talking too much, Aaron. I mean, Jared. Sorry, but anyway.
Well, he was going to be my next question. Jared Kushner, Conus lure?
No. Good guy. Good Mossad.
He can still be a good guy and be a Conus lure.
What about his sister-in-law? She was kind of.
I mean, I'm not saying good guy bad. We're just talking lures here. Lures are always. I mean, lures are great. You catch fish with lures.
Look. I mean, from Mossad's point of view. Okay, look at it. Or Pakistan's point of view. You put one Oconus lure in there, and you get Debbie, and he sires the child.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's going to get married or going to get a passport.
Something. Yeah.
He's going to get a passport.
Yeah, there you go.
He's going to get a passport. He's going to be up there on Capitol Hill. He only has to service her for like 2 or 3 years, right? Before she figures out, this is it's a dealio. And then for the next 10 years, she's trying to kink her hair to reattract him. And did you see her with the thing, trying to kink her hair and everything? And she was trying to look more ethnic because she wanted to attract him.
She needed to look more sober.
Yeah.
This is Imran. I didn't realize Imran's got the little gray thing in the front of his hair.
Yeah, I wonder who else.
What do you?
I didn't know. I didn't notice. I mean, yeah, there's Imran. He's
Good-looking man.
I mean,
and the thing about Imran is that I had access to a lot of photos that Debbie Wasserman took of Imran on a car, laying on a car when he was like the hot 21-year-old.
Wait, Imran's laying on the car?
Yeah, Imran's full height of drunk. Yeah, full height of
Oh
drunk.
my God.
No,
Like literally, he was like sprawled on the hood
all
of the
over the car.
Just, like,
Yeah,
I remember him talking
bare
about that.
chest.
Yeah, no, I published the pictures on one of the videos.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah,
fact.
and it was all Oconus lure. It's like we're gonna throw this on,
So
Debbie
just
Wasserman.
like
and then you want to be on
He's
air?
all greased up, and he's like,
You gonna be on the show?
Yeah,
just like just scrubbing the squeegee on
Here,
the
here, I'll
windshield
let you-
kind of
he'll
thing.
decide.
Yeah.
You got a super fan,
Okay.
You look like a million
or
bucks.
your mom or
Yeah.
somebody. I don't know. Could be your mom or girlfriend.
Hey, do you want to ask a question?
Put her on speed. The speaker is the bottom
Take
right.
over, George. George is taking over, guys.
No, I'm not taking over.
Give me 1 second.
So
It could be.
Pretty
and-
sure she's outside and he's about to go to the bar and
Yeah.
have some drinks. We lost
I
Addy.
like that we're equal opportunity Oconus lure, analysts here, and it's not just we're not putting in all of our marbles on the women. We know that men can be
Oconus lures, right?
So
Absolutely.
I
much
just
smaller
want to say,
percentage, but it's possible.
in Addy's defense, he's a young man. He's 25 years old, and he was in the upper reaches of Wisconsin, for crying out loud, and then he goes to Buffalo, which is not much warmer, and then he comes down here. And how long has he been here? 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And the kid's not going to be hiding. I mean, he's going to go out. He's going to get seen.
Yeah. Hey, I mean,
And all of a
I
sudden,
want you to share this. Okay, we got a call here. Sorry to interrupt, guys.
no.
Okay, Kim, you're gonna be on air. Give me a sec. Okay, and you're on speakerphone. Go ahead, Kim.
Okay. Is it all right? I'm changing the subject too, and I didn't want to get,
yeah, change it. We're
yeah.
here for you.
Yeah, go for it.
We love it.
I don't know if people are aware of this or not, but in the Virgin Islands, they set up $100 million plus predictive compensation fund for the so-called victims of Epstein. And I don't know if people are aware of the fact that like 98% of the claimants involved in that are going to, there's 66 girls, women, I should say, that are going to be getting, and they were overage when they met Epstein in their 20s up to 30s. There's no mind. You know, this pedophile thing is they should have either kept it separate or done something, because people are aware too that like there's some people in there that, you know, really should be, if anything, sharing it out with Elaine Maxwell, because they're so complicit in this thing in one way or the other, and meanwhile they're getting rewarded for it, you know. And I wanted to make another point. This is known as the global pedophile blackmail ring. I just want to say one thing. There's one victim, besides Virginia Roberts, that claims she had sex with his Blackwood buddies, and that Prince Andrew, and then that's fine. But tell me, how do you run a global blackmail ring when there's where are these victims that are saying that they had sex? They were all saying they were with Epstein, giving them just 3 massages a day. You know, so how does that you know, this is such a smokescreen. This whole pedophile, people lose their minds. They hear this about this pedophile, and they just lose their minds on it. Let me just give you some examples. Maria Farmer submitted an affidavit on behalf of Virginia Giuffre in the Alan Dershowitz case. She had a defamation case. And by the way, I don't know if people know this too, but Virginia already got $30 million. That's for Elaine Maxwell calling her a liar, and nothing to do with the criminal. Nothing. She got there, and she just begun. Okay, but let me just tell you this. I'll try to keep it short. You know. Maria Farmer submitted an affidavit on behalf of Virginia to bolster her case against Dershowitz. She said she saw him going up and down the stairs when she worked in New York. First of all, okay, so she says in this, in the affidavit, she 3 times there, she says her sister was 15, because her sister was supposedly a victim too. Her sister was like about 2 weeks short of being 17, by the way. She knew that. Okay, but let me tell you how do you get away with something like this. You say in the affidavit, you say she talks about her sister's incident, but she also talks specifically about her being at the okay, this is what she says. Let me just get the later here. Okay, she says she says during the summer of 1996, when I was working on an art project at Wexner's, and by the way, Wexner's did not know that she was there. It's a 330-acre, you know, development, and it was like close to a mile away from the main residence. Separate entrance. I'm sure they didn't know he was there, but this is what she said. So during that summer, 1996, when I was working on an art project at Wexner's mansion, Jeffrey Epstein and Elaine Maxwell came to Wexner's mansion. They asked me to come to. I'm learning that right. Okay, she says after her assault, she said I fled the room and called the sheriff's office, but did not get a response. The Wexner security staff refused to let me leave the property, and I was held against my will. Let me see. They wouldn't let me leave the property. I pleaded with them, and my father came from Kentucky to Ohio to help me. I was held against my will for approximately 12 hours until I was ultimately allowed to leave with my father. Okay, now this is what she says in a video. I don't know if she can't remember her lies or what she can't remember. She says, so I called 911. This is verbatim, by the way. I called 911. They hung up on me. I called 911 again. In America, you think 911 doesn't hang up on you.
Okay, Kim. So you're just questioning the validity of a lot of the Epstein victims, basically?
How do you say in an affidavit that your father, so you're ultimately allowed to leave with your father, and then you can go and say something to the effect of saying, she says, Marie Brown, she says in the video, she says, I'm sitting there thinking, how do I get out of this place? And finally, my dad gets there maybe 4 hours later. I actually walked my brothers to the gate. I told this to the Washington Post. They didn't want New York Times didn't want it.
Okay.
She didn't leave with her father. Every single thing she said in the affidavit, every single thing is a lie. And yet this stands with the court. You know.
Okay.
I mean,
thank you, Kim. Thanks for your call. We will discuss now. Thank you so much.
I agree. I think it's a throw.
You think it's a throw?
I think it's a throw. Yep.
Because I briefly discussed Miss Roberts with Virginia Giuffre, Virginia Joffrey, with Dave actually.
She kind of needs her own interview. She's trying to.
Yeah, we might do
a story
that
there to tell,
if she'd be up for it. I've spoken with her before. It's one of my subscribers, Kim. But did you guys get that? She was basically just talking about how she thinks that the pedophile aspect of the Epstein case is blown out of proportion, and saying that a lot of the underage victims were actually overage, especially the ones who are getting money now, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think about this, George?
Well, absolutely. These Virginia Giuffre or Roberts was very much a part of the compromise operation. She was in love with Andrew. Even though she was underage, but she's the one they put forward, and then they're burying all the other cases where they were drugged, and and the idea here is the part that no one is, and I wasn't a part of the Florida thing. I was more up in the New York thing, and the Long Island thing, but all of those operations were scientists. It was the Bob Maxwell thing. It was get scientists with the cutting edge papers and the cutting edge technology, and get the girls with the scientists, and so that they could get in there with the thumb drives. It was a Mossad operation, and until you wrap your mind around that's how Mossad works with the connoisseurs, you're never going to get it right, and you're always going to throw out one person, and our good friend, the attorney,
Dershowitz
is a little school play that they're doing. He's not going to get. Virginia Giuffre is defaming me, and then Giuffre said something else, and there's this kind of hair pulling that's going on. But what you're forgetting is these 40 other girls, the scientists that were going to the island as well. What you saw in the Black Book was a slice of just celebrities who went there, but you don't see all the scientists that went there. Jeff Epstein, if you look at Wexner and Epstein, it was all about scientists. That's who they were inviting to the island. The girls were the cheesecake for the scientists, not for Steven Tyler at Aerosmith or anybody else. Those people did come as attractions, but it wasn't about that. It was about the Bob Maxwell, get the intellectual property for Israel. That's what it was about.
And I want to hear Dave's thoughts too on this.
Well, like we talked about, it is, these stories are, it's been going on for years now. I mean, we first heard about, Epstein with these situations, going back years, and, there hasn't really been resolution, the way he, his trial, his incarceration, like everything just seems like it didn't follow the standard protocol. So, and that's what I think a lot of these things are, is it makes you sort of, take leaps of faith as far as filling in the gaps on information you don't know and you can't prove, to get you to really, say things, talk about things that you don't have the information for, because it is sensational. And again, most people instinctively want to protect children, and hate the idea that there are organizations that are taking advantage, abusing or destroying the lives of people. I mean, nobody wants to think that that's happening. So it's easy for me to see why people are very driven, by the fear that even the suspicion that something like that's happening,
and
motivates
also
a lot of people.
Why that it could be used as sensationalist information, right?
So the way I look at it is that it's like having a menu of options, like he said. Like, you're bringing these scientists, and I look at it as like when I've organized bachelor parties. Some guys like to go gamble, some guys want to go to the pool party, some guys want to golf, some guys want to go to the strip club, some guys want to go to the bunny ranch.
Bob Maxwell.
There's all different levels of what people want, and so for underage sex, that I think for most psychologies, that's wrong for most people. So it's not to say that couldn't happen, but it's going to be a very select psychology that's okay with that has this sort of dominance issue where they want to, dominate somebody over somebody much weaker than them. And so to me, that's possible that there's people out there that do that, but most people, when given a menu of options like that, I think would obviously want somebody beautiful and vibrant and everything, but not necessarily underage, because I think a lot of people would really struggle with that. Because a lot of people I think are not comfortable with that. So just to say that it's impossible is not true, but
Right.
But to me, just with they're running a business, right? They're running an organization. They're trying to get secrets or military technology, and these are sort of the techniques that are used to sort of seal these deals. And so it's hard to say, and I know that they've created laws and things, even with the QAnon, sort of talking about this stuff. This is all areas that
Can I add to this?
get in there.
Because I don't want to go too far here, but I'm just saying these are 14 or 15-year-olds, but they don't tell the scientists that they're 14 or 15-year-olds. They say to the girls, think, roll your eyes back and think of Israel, and go ahead and have the baby of the scientist. And that scientist, by definition, is half Israeli. So, and God knows we love Israel. We love Israel.
Yeah,
we
sure.
love Israel. But I'm just saying that these are techniques that are used by Mossad. Miami Mamas, we went there. This is an adoption agency rated by the FBI. The same way we went to the adoption agency here in Strongsville. And these are techniques. If the 14-year-old Ukrainian girls with high cheekbones get pregnant, that's your next crop at Ohio State.
One thing I want to point out too is
for the Iran nuclear deal.
And I wanted to ask a question too about Miss Giuffre is, it's such a salient topic, especially nowadays. We got a room full of only guys here. It's 2020. It's the Me Too movement and stuff. But, when you're 17 years old and you're a male and you pick up a blunt object and hit somebody with it, they're not going to say, oh, he was just a child. Let's go easy on him. You're going to get prosecuted as an adult. So why is 17-year-old Virginia Giuffre, who is legally an adult in pretty much every country in the world except the United States, considered a little baby child? I guess that's my question, And speaking of Miss Roberts, do you guys think she was Mossad?
Not a Mossad, like she wasn't born in Tel Aviv or anything, but I'm saying that she was recruited in a kid-on, and the kid-on is a way of saying, hey, it's a tribe. When you go into a kid-on, it's like, hey, we're 12 that work together always.
So a kid-on is a group of 12 operatives who work together for years for Mossad, and sometimes they don't even meet each other. Sometimes they do. It just depends on what they're doing. But they basically don't really interact with any other agents except their group. Their kid-on, as it's called. I guess it's a Hebrew word, or I don't know. Kid-on is that's.
Do you think they're typically like the same age, like grow up, or they kind of mix it up with different ages?
No. It's mixed up. It's mixed up. I mean, here's the classic situation: you're checking into a hotel, and you're just interacting with all these people. You're all of a sudden. Let's say Mar-a-Lago with Trump is where they had Virginia Giuffre's kid-on was at Mar-a-Lago, and her father's the greenskeeper. You're coming off the green from your final. Oh, hey, how you doing? Oh, where are you going tonight? Oh, you should go over here. Here's a pool pass, And then there's Virginia Giuffre over there at the pool with her skimpy bikini, and then hey, we're 7 young Ukrainian girls tonight that are going to be modeling underwear. We'd love you to come by, that type of thing.
When is this true?
This was at Mar-a-Lago. This happened at Mar-a-Lago. I'm not saying anything. I mean,
I thought you were inviting me to hang out with you.
Yeah. But I wanted to tell you that Virginia Giuffre, for all the people that are saying what the victim she is, she was the Oconus lure at the pool at Mar-a-Lago, where her dad was inviting guys coming off the 18th green saying, hey, you should go over there and check out these girls over there at the pool. So what I'm saying is there was this kind of infrastructure of people, not 2 or 3, but like 10 or 12 people kind of constantly channeling you to the compromise event. And that's the name of that game. And that's the truth. That's what really happened. No matter how much they try to make this look like a victim situation, Virginia Giuffre was in the kid-on at Mar-a-Lago, and that's the name of that game. And that's what happened. And there's 10 people that we don't know. Her dad was in on it as the greenskeeper. She was in on it as the bikini girl at the pool, but there's going to be a massage guy over there at the massage thing, so that if you went that direction, he's going to be recommending you in the direction of the party. You know, they're going to cover it from all different angles.
Is the bar guy,
the bar guy,
the golf guy.
Yeah, everybody. And you don't see these people as working together, but everybody's going to be channeling you to her. You can't, you're not going to miss. You know, this is no chances, and you're going to get compromised. And what I'm saying is, if you just came out with the latest, embrittlement technology for nuclear centrifuges, at the end of the night, your laptop will have a self-extracting thumb drive in it, and you will lose the secrets to Israel. That's the name of the game. We're not playing for 3-1 oil. This is for keeps. This is for the survival of Israel. Boom.
Where did the Abercrombie catalog come in? Just to get
Devin Archer,
just to get the visas, just like, oh well, we need to get them over here for this photo shoot for the catalog. I mean, because
is Abercrombie a limited brand?
Yeah, I mean, you're a little older than me, but definitely like my high school years and the Abercrombie catalog.
And I remember Abercrombie and Fitch being a place. It was almost like a deluxe kind of Spencer Gifts place, a place where you could go buy a crap table. They didn't have clothes at Abercrombie. That came on later. They were like gimmicky stuff.
What was it? I think of it as like the old, like kind of like Teddy Roosevelt, like the Rough Riders, like a lot of like the camping gear, like that.
or the Hammacher Schlemmer catalog. I mean, that's a Spencer.
They made it. I mean, Wexner knows his market, and he definitely made the Abercrombie. Even the bag became very like too hot to handle. The models on it,
Well, I just know, like, I mean, all these girls were in the catalog,
one of their brands,
right?
But
and well, there's a lot of
Devin
guys.
Archer was a former
they're all in the catalog.
So that's a good fact.
Well, Devin Archer, there is a connoisseurs, male and female.
Well, what about Nellie Orr running? You said that she sort of ran a similar operation for the Harvard and Yale Ivy Leaguers up in Connecticut or in Rhode Island. Seems like this, these operations are.
Is that who the Rhode Island kid was?
Yeah.
He was a male Oconus lure?
Yeah. I mean,
or Conus, the Rhode Island kid would have been a male Conus lure.
He was actually from northern Germany.
What?
Yeah. That kid.
We don't know enough. The Rhode Island kid was just
John L. Hawk. John L. Hawk.
Who is the Rhode Island kid?
Yeah. There's just so much to the George Webb story, I mean,
Brett Kavanaugh was the Yale recruiter. He was the wrangle him off guy.
I don't know that to be true.
I don't know it that well.
But so my ex-partner and I went up to Rhode Island, and they were supposed to be this kid who was a victim of this sexual harassment, and it was pretty compelling. We met with a kid in Rhode Island, and then he came down later to Connecticut.
He wasn't a kid by then. He was
he's still 23. But his story checked out. He said it was on Block Island in 95 with Bill Clinton. And Bill Clinton was there on August 13th, 1995 on Block Island with JFK. He said JFK. That picture checked out. Anthony Weiner was there. Schumer was there. That story checked out.
I remember that.
How perfect.
That checked out. And the reason
the kid would have been how old then?
13, 12,
okay.
13.
So he was like 10 years later.
Maybe younger. Subtract back.
Jeez, okay.
From now to 95, but it worked out math-wise that he was 7, 8 years old. But anyway, he said that Chuck Schumer, this is the kid's words, not my words. Chuck Schumer and Anthony Weiner were on the boat, and they were telling JFK Jr. that he was not going to. Hillary was on the boat. You're not going to run for Senate. Hillary's going to run for Senate. And then the next guy who's going to run, 2002, is going to be Chuck Schumer. I think Hillary was 2000, and then Chuck Schumer was 2002. And the person who was going to backfill Chuck Schumer's seat in Brooklyn was going to be Anthony Weiner. And you're just going to have to wait it out to JFK Jr. And it was a pretty crazy story. in 2000, this was 1998, something like that, a couple of years before the election. It was 1998.
Is Huma still in college for this era? Is she in the
He
picture
said
yet?
Huma was on the boat.
Where is this guy now?
He's in Rhode Island somewhere.
Just
But anyway, it was
cutting
98.
grass and just, I mean,
It was
working a day
98
job.
before
I mean,
the 2000
bagging
election.
groceries.
And then Michael Moore, Thomas Paine, whatever, he interviewed her and was on camera with all this. So all this has been captured on camera. But anyway, the bottom line is JFK's pissed off. And so they wanted to control when JFK would be in public next, and they wanted to mute his reaction to be, because they didn't want him coming out saying, hey, I'm really pissed off. I want to run for senator, and I can't get justice for my dad unless I run for senator.
Wow.
And so they all of a sudden said, let's go over to Block Island. And unbeknownst to JFK Jr., they had invited all these press there. And so JFK Jr. is caught off guard, and he's running around. Look up Block Island.
But you know, the thing that I don't understand now, if I was JFK Jr. in that situation, because Bobby was Kennedy's, was the senator from New York, but they were all from Massachusetts. Okay. So why didn't JFK just go up and say, well, I'll run for Senate in Massachusetts? You know, especially after Teddy died, you know, it's like, you know, in other ways, unless they didn't want Kennedy around.
Well,
at all.
but the reason for that was what's his name was a senator who's been there for 40 years.
Lieberman?
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, but Teddy died.
Connecticut.
No,
But Teddy died. He was there.
What's his name?
Which state?
White House?
Massachusetts.
Teddy.
No, the guy, the bald-headed guy with the glasses. Who?
Not White House.
No, Teddy was out.
Not Tip O'Neill.
Well,
No, look,
Sheldon
senator
White
from
House.
Massachusetts. He's still senator from Massachusetts.
Weld?
No,
No.
but Weld is
He's probably reading the chat. I'll bet the chat's got it.
Ed Markley.
Okay.
Markey. I don't think.
2013.
Yeah, he wasn't then though.
Okay.
The other guy, he's on the Senate Intelligence Committee. Who are the senators from Massachusetts?
It's not Markey?
He
It's
is.
Warren
Markey
now.
Markley
used to be Markey used to be on the House Intelligence Committee. Who was then?
Just a second.
I do want to say, reading the chat, Connie Bevan, please don't try to transcribe this. I hope Connie keeps her transcribing to your shorter, more concise videos. She definitely does not need to. She does not need to.
They got Scott Brown in there for a while. I don't know if you remember.
No.
The underwear model. Yeah.
Now, you know, Bruce Orr, with his resignation, there should be no more leaks in the White House.
Bruce Orr, you're going to find, ran the counterintelligence operation against Donald Trump and is still running to this day the counterintelligence operation with these Russians through the Eurasian Crime Task Force through Election Day. You think he's retiring, you think he's resigning, but he's actually running the counterintel. He still has a top secret clearance. He's running, and the 6 Russians that have been put forward to you and that they say, oh, you hacked the French grid, and oh, you did this and you did that. There's another 6 in that same exact GRU unit that are doing counter intel right now against Trump through Election Day. And there you go. But
answer to the test.
Did
CrowdStrike
get the contract again?
That would be.
But if Bruce Orr, with his being out of the White House, it's taken that long.
He's not out of the White House. He's over at the DOJ still.
Did Bruce Orr's dad and Dmitry Alperovich's dad work together at Oak Ridge?
No, I don't think they did. But who was a senator from Massachusetts in 2002?
It's Elizabeth Warren. Oh, in 2002.
You had Edward Kennedy.
You had Elizabeth Warren and Scott Brown before her, Paul Kirk. And
well, anyway, for some reason,
is it maybe not from Massachusetts?
For some reason, Ted
Duval, or is it
Ted Kennedy wanted to run in New York for senator, and he was going straight up against. This is what the kids said.
Yeah.
Hillary Clinton, and that endangered the life of John F. Kennedy Jr.
No, I can believe that.
That's the kid. But anyway, his name was John L. Hawk. He came from a town in Germany, in northern Germany, that used to be a concentration camp in northern Germany.
Wow.
And it was Mecklenburg. Mecklenburg was the name of the town.
Did he have an accent or no accent?
No.
Probably because he was.
No,
been
he
here
didn't
so
have
long.
an accent. But he was from Mecklenburg, Germany. And that was a town, this Nazi town where they were culling these kids.
So his parents were probably paper clippers, something like that. Maybe.
All I remember he was from Mecklenburg. You know,
Wow.
check it out.
I got it
Mecklenburg,
right here.
Germany.
Good story, yeah.
Did Mecklenburg, Germany have a concentration camp?
Yes, it did. I got it right here.
Sure. Yeah. There's so many parts of the story. I'll tell you.
But
It
that's
opened-
where-
it opened in the winter of 1943, and it was
Wow.
located in Mecklenburg.
Mecklenburg, Germany, and they used to do rocket shit up there. And these rocket scientists were using these kids from these old towns that they had impregnated. What? This is the kid, not me.
Yeah.
There was like they would pick out the prettiest Jewesses,
Mm-hmm.
and they would impregnate the prettiest Jewesses, and they had these kindergartens for
Wow.
raising these kids,
Hmm.
and they're half German, half Jewish,
Incredible.
right?
The
And
super race.
yeah,
But why though? It's like, you know, to someone on the surface, it's like, don't they hate the Jews, right? Why do they do it?
but this was the ultimate merger.
Beauty. Yeah. it's
But
beauty.
anyway, this kid was supposedly one of those kids from Mecklenburg. He was a descendant of one of these kids from the camp. And
Were
anyway,
they trying to make viewers? Because remember, that's what Mengele was all about. Trying to create the black-haired, blue-eyed child. And
but it was all a lie because the Nazis all had these Jewesses,
That's
and
right.
they had like
Many
20 of
of
them,
them.
and they were all gorgeous. And all these kids now are the next generation that we think of
Yeah.
as all victims and Jews,
Mhm.
but they're actually half Nazi, half Jew.
We need to read that Havara agreement.
The Harbara Agreement.
Gotta
I mean,
get-
Edwin Black, you know, I mean, there's
I got to get you an interview with Edmund Black. That's the
Yeah.
bigger thing. That'd be
He's
amazing.
got a YouTube channel.
Yeah, I've watched it. I know. Yeah.
But anyway, this kid was apparently, if you bring them in from another country,
Mhm.
and they can be under 18, and the FBI can use them as a lure.
Wow.
And Bruce Orr and Nellie Orr, they had this big yacht. This is the kid's story, not my story.
Sure.
And Thomas can tell you the same story because he interviewed the kids. And for some reason, Thomas in the interview, when he records them, bleeps out the name of Schumer, and he bleeps out the name of Anthony Weiner.
Thomas Paine.
Thomas Paine,
Yeah.
Michael Moore, the
That's
journalist.
his real name.
For some reason, when he
Wait,
publishes,
Thomas Paine's Michael Moore's name is Thomas Paine.
Thomas
Really?
Paine
They're
was
telling.
his cryptonym. Okay, and then it
Old
came
name,
out that
Thomas Paine,
Michael Moore was the
Common
journalist.
Sense.
Interesting.
Remember that?
Wow.
And Michael Moore, the journalist, is not Michael Moore, the filmmaker.
Okay.
And,
Shut me up.
And anyway, they
Okay.
got him entrapped into a thing where he's copying hockey tapes and got him, blah blah,
Wow.
compromised him and whatever. But he interviewed her and recorded this. Anyway, he interviews this kid, and he bleeps out the two most important names in the tape of the people who were there, Schumer and Weiner. And the only reason I can figure they bleeped those two things out is because it would support my story, because I've been telling the story for 4 years and everybody's been saying, oh, I made it up. And
Were they 12 miles out in the ocean? Somebody's
The-
saying that. one
the
of the
story
accounts-
was they would go
They would
12
go-
miles out in international waters, and they would tell the people that they were trying to compromise, hey, dude,
Seriously?
you're in
What?
international waters. This isn't the laws of the United States don't apply here. And in actual fact, you're only like a mile off Block Island. But you couldn't see it. This is the kid. You were a mile off Block Island.
Wow.
Also, don't forget the retreat houses too. That that's and the embassies are also foreign soil. too.
Definitely the Russian retreats were one of the earliest things that really knocked my socks off with you for sure. It was just the Russian retreats.
Isn't that the perfect compromise
Amazing.
where you think it's okay to be with a 14-year-old at Kona Slur, and you have the moment, and Epstein films it, and now and Bruce Orr and Nellie Orr had that operation on a boat. I own you. If you're Kavanaugh and you're on that boat, hey, we're gonna phone in what we want you to vote on.
So Bruce and Nellie Orr are working for the same people that Epstein works for.
It was a different operation. It was out of the Navy War College in Kingston, Rhode Island. But it's an operation. It's a compromise operation. It's not a Mossad operation. It's a CIA. Nellie Orr is CIA all the way. Sure. So we should
And
wrap
she's like
this.
the language
Yeah.
master too, right? Isn't she like do a lot of the training and the cultivation of people?
Ukrainian, Russian.
So Nellie Orr was running a similar entrapment scheme.
Yeah,
She did
separate
the
from
Epstein.
Epstein. Epstein
CIA
wasn't
only.
correct.
And then she was the one that was sort of the liaison that was meeting through the Fusion GPS guys that was sort of backing.
Yeah. I mean, Fusion GPS is just a rinse to say it's not CIA, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they just did that.
We do remember the Good Morning, Mr. Phelps. Your mission, remember the
Mission Impossible.
You know, in the your mission should you decide to accept it and all that.
Yeah.
The secretary.
He's
will
dead.
disavow any-
That guy's
any
dead.
office. But it's almost like we're dealing with that kind of like cloak and dagger stuff.
When you look at the money involved, $700 billion, if you get the person, I mean, it's worth it.
Happen.
And all these Oconus lures are from foreign countries. You don't pay a dime for them. They're all survivors of foreign wars. Look at all the Kosovo girls that have come here, and the Bosnia girls, and the Ukrainian girls. All these girls they're like free for the picking. I mean, Epstein was just, I mean, Peter Duke, we charted all this stuff out where they were going to Paris was their first big hop. And then if they made it in Paris or Milan, then they would come to New York and do Fashion Week in New York.
Well, we've been going 2.5 hours here, gentlemen.
Oh,
Really?
So
been
let's
fun.
wrap up. But before we do that, I just want to
Super Chat Addy ads.
Yeah, send them big money.
Yeah, we got the, like I said,
pay
guys,
bills.
Entropy Chat, where you can do super chats, as well as the BNT super chat. No confirmation yet if that works. So at some point in our BNT lives, somebody's got to test that out.
Brand new too.
Brand new tube, Addy Ads, ADDYADDS. George Webb. This is Late Night with George Webb Uncensored. Before we sign off, do we have any final thoughts for the audience here, guys? George,
Thank you to
No.
people that want us to go 3 hours. Still
Enough.
hanging in after 2.5. That's good.
Profits like 3 hours.
I want to say thank you, Addy, for being the backup for Neighborhood News. That was
Definitely.
cool.
Obviously, this is not the ideal. We all want our own, Neighborhood News Hour channel. That's why we're all here. But it's like scramble and regroup. As the Stukas come flying in, we got to run and find a new foxhole. So that's kind of the last 2 days have been. But I just wanted to implore everybody to go over to brand new tube, because in the short term, it's a bit of a hassle to switch video platforms. And I know somebody mentioned the Roku thing. A lot of people like to watch on the Roku because they can put it on the TV.
Yeah.
Which I didn't know that anybody would want my face that big on their TV or George's face. But they do. They want George's face on the TV. I'll talk to BNT about it. No guarantees. But regardless, YouTube is not really a long-term viable solution for the truth and for journalists like us and for guys like George who are heavily censored.
You screwed.
So because of that, we got this class action lawsuit coming, and we do want people to go over to the brand new tube, and we do have a Neighborhood News Hour brand new YouTube channel that we are updating. We're trying to get all our old content on there. The podcasts should still be on iTunes and everywhere else they were available before. So the audio is still available. We do have some of the videos, and we're gonna collect them and put them up too. But we just want people to make use of these other platforms. So we got to start getting used to using these, folks. It's kind of annoying. We want to be using YouTube because it's easy. We know what the interface is like. But we do have to change. We got to change our tactics now. So BNT, Entropy, these other video platforms is what we're going for. So nnhour.com. Thank you, Sage, for putting that up. That is Neighborhood News Hour's website, and that's where we're broadcasting out of today in Michigan. Neighborhood News Hour studio. George is yawning, so that's my cue to
That's
sign off.
midnight. I got
Midnight on the dot.
I get up at 4, man. I got to go to bed.
Hey, we love you, Ospreys. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, everybody.
The research continues.
And hopefully we weren't too controversial to get Addy knocked off his platforms. They didn't really give us a great explanation on what the neighborhood news did. That was
Zero.
I'm still waiting to hear back about my monetization. I'm not really keeping my hopes up. And I crossed my fingers for a little bit, but they get tired after 6 weeks, so you stop crossing them. But we want to thank everybody for tuning in. Stay frosty, and we will see you all next time.